is the first Common Sense podcast, or Unsense. It's a wonderful pun there. And we have a guest that I've known for, how long have I known you?
At least 5 years.
There we go. It's been at least 5 years.
At minimum.
At minimum. Josh is a entertainment buff. And
Slash amateur filmmaker.
right, how many small films have you done?
That's a really good question. I have a collection of 4 or 5 DVDs that has anywhere between 2 to 7 short films per disc.
And is there a specific genre you focus on, or?
No, man. I'm interested in all of it. It's funny though, like whenever I talk about it, that's usually the first question, like your average non-filmmaking person will ask is there a specific genre? And I find that really interesting. No, I think all the people I admire the most are a master of any genre.
So I think for a lot of people it doesn't matter what it is. Like I remember when I first started my IT business, and people are like, "Oh, you fix PCs, right? Yeah, but can you do networking?" Yes. Maybe I should call a network guy. Or when I first started making websites, back before design was like a big key part of it, it was more like, do you have a website? Does it work? And is there an image tag on it somewhere? When I first started developing sites, people would ask, "Oh, can you do a website?" "Yeah, I can." "Well, but you're not a website designer." So I guess when people ask what genre you're most comfortable with, or which one you like to use, it's because most people aren't well-rounded in a lot of different things. Most people assume that you're a specialist in one thing. You do that really well. And
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it like that. I actually am, before the end of this, I'm going to plug my partner's Vimeo account.
Sure.
Before the end, at least.
You can plug it now. Go ahead.
Well, I'd have to get the actual URL. I wouldn't know exactly what it is.
Not a problem. So we were talking previously about Star Wars and particularly Luke's character. I think they captured a lot of the in the movie itself. I think they did have it was a decent story. There was a lot of decent subplots, and we touched on how we thought Snoke himself was almost like a waste of a character. If they don't somehow bring him back, maybe like haunting or possessing Kylo Ren as some type of weird Sith Force ghost,
then
or
it's
something,
a total loss.
Then the character was just like a waste.
I saw an article that purported Rian Johnson explaining why he made that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to look into it. It was just earlier today, actually. I want to know why. Like, I want to know what his reasoning is for just completely throwing him away, essentially.
Because in the EU, and they did in this movie adopt some things from the EU, and there were some things we had never seen before, like Luke Skywalker used astral projection.
Yeah. Which was rad.
It ripped him apart and killed him, but he did it.
But rad nonetheless.
It was great when all the walkers were shooting him. Dust is flying everywhere, and he walks off. He's like, "Yeah, I'm a beast."
Yeah. I didn't like that. Like, I thought it was too hokey, B, not in character, and C, too modern.
But he was playing on his anger.
All that stuff aside, like, it's a modern thing, And I don't know.
He was dusting himself off.
It feels out of place. It just felt very, like, winky and then hokey, like, cheesy. I don't know. You know, like 12-year-old girls do that. You know. I don't know.
Rap artists.
Rappers do it. Like, yeah. I don't know. I wasn't a fan.
Didn't wasn't that an old Private Eye thing too? When like they used to, in a lot of those old black and white movies, you know, you get the mobster unloading a clip of an entire Tommy gun, and the guy steps out from the shadows when he's unloading. He's like goes like this.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I thought it was more of a nod to that than more of the pop culture type of references. I thought it was more of an old school nod, wink.
So you said that Snoke. Who did you theorize that Snoke was?
I don't know if he is the guy from the EU that we were talking about, but there is a guy that's in the EU. And
soul transfer, whatever
right.
It is, right?
I think in the EU, his name is Valorian. He had 2 sons and a daughter, but essentially in the EU, and I think even in one of the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic video game, I think you kill him and he jumps into your body, and then he tries to possess you, and then he tries to jump to another body.
You've heard what the like big theory about who Snoke is. What everybody's saying, Darth Plagueis.
Yes.
That's who like the majority of fans think he
right.
is.
The reason that doesn't add up though is because didn't Palpatine say he killed Darth Plagueis or alludes to it?
I think yes, definitely, and B, that's the way it goes. You know, in order for Palpatine to take his spot as Emperor, he has to kill his trainer, so to speak.
Right. And I think that's a big thing about the Sith, is that your apprentice will at one point kill you.
Right. Yeah.
That's a foregone thing.
It could be that Plagueis survived it.
Well, and this is why I was saying, like, the reason that's important, the Valkorian angle in the EU, that he could jump to a body or inhabit another body and lie dormantly until he finds a better host. If that's possible, then yeah, he could have jumped to that body, or he could have been whatever. But the thing about Snoke was, if you looked at him, he was really fucking old and really fucking gross.
Yeah. Okay, so check this out. This is the best theory I've heard thus far, and I'm gonna shout out a YouTube channel because I think
sure.
I think they do the best work. Okay, so New Rockstars YouTube channel. I think they do the best work, and they do breakdowns of all of these movies, Star Wars movies. They do breakdowns of Walking Dead episodes. But when they put out their video on The Last Jedi, they touched on this just very briefly, and I can't believe there isn't a more drawn out theorizing about it, because in my mind, it makes the most sense out of anything I've heard so far.
And that's usually and as a guideline, usually the thing that makes the most sense is correct. But so what
right,
is
Occam's razor. Yeah. So, in Attack of the Clones, I think, when you see Palpatine's room, like his office, so to speak, whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
he has 4 statues of like the founding members of the Sith, so to speak.
Okay. And
they pop up in another movie, in another scene. I wish I could remember what it was, but their theory is that Snoke is one of those 4, specifically a very specific one, too. Not just like, oh, he's one of these, but one of them they specifically seem to think is him.
Well, Valkorian used to be the Sith Emperor, and in the middle of a war, apparently in the EU, he just abandoned them and started a new civilization, took over some other civilization somewhere else, and then took that civilization, the Eternal Empire, I think it's called, to attack the normal, what we know, or what was the Republic and all that. So it's entirely possible that what I'm saying and what you're saying are
one and the same. That he's
right,
one of those four
right, or
founding
yeah,
Sith.
or he's a different leg of
Yeah.
the same animal. Sure.
But the biggest indicator that this is true is the way they look. The statues and the other scene that they're in, they're super tall, super skinny, lanky, big-headed creatures.
I thought they confirmed that Snoke was actually a human.
I didn't hear
and
that.
he was fucking just
No, I
dreadfully
didn't hear
old
that.
and misshapen.
My partner, actually, my creative partner, he was blown away by how much Disney was willing to risk on such a bold movie to make in the Star Wars franchise. Like, it's a bold installment.
Sure, and I think the biggest thing was that the biggest couple things about it was one, the weird creepy, almost bordering on incestual friction between Kylo and Rey. It almost seemed like they're like stepbrother and stepsister, like under a blanket when Mark Hamill catches
Dude,
him.
it is kind of weird, right? And
Yeah,
I think that's by design, because
Sure.
fucking Luke and Leia.
Right.
Was that not how everybody felt about it when the first trilogy came out?
Star Wars romances are always super fucking creepy, and I think we touched on it with like Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, where it was like he was getting really fucking like
very rapey vibe.
Creepy rapey, right? Like stalker. Oh my god, what's going on?
Very rapey vibe.
And then all of a sudden she's just like, yeah, you know what? He's kind of cute. I'll just go with it. Just like in the middle of the movie, she just flips from "You're making me uncomfortable" to "Yes,
Yeah.
I want the Jedi D."
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine they got an incredible stamina as a Jedi. You know, it's
But you'd have to think so.
Force powers. You know what I mean?
I cannot fathom Force sex.
You know, he's giving it to her, and he's like doing this with his finger. He's like rubbing her clit from far away. You know?
Far away, dude.
He's
brilliant.
like, he's
fucking brilliant.
Exactly. You gotta.
While we're on the subject.
Okay.
I know we said it before, but those movies are incredibly underrated. And for anyone who may or may not be listening to this, I want them to know that all the shit that's been talked about those movies, like I said to you, all the shit that's been talked about, the CG usage, sure, they may have a point.
It's a science fiction movie.
It's a big sci-fi movie, big sci-fi opera.
There's gonna be fucking CG.
Yeah, and a lot of it because it was the dawn of that era.
It was cutting edge CG in the 70s.
Yes. So why was there so much complaint about it for the new trilogy, or episodes 1, 2, and 3?
I think
what I want people to know is that there were so many practical sets, and you couldn't believe like what they actually built. Like the arena in Attack of the Clones, they fucking built that. They the big climactic.
Sure.
They built that arena. They built the stadium.
I think one of the big reasons there's so much outcry for that is, I think in the 90s especially, we were in or late 90s, early 2000s, we were in a place where CGI just isn't like it is now. Like compare the monster that lands on the platform in the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie versus the remastered Jabba the Hutt, where from like I think it's the very first, I think it's A New Hope. They're trying to get Han to fly them, and then like there's a deleted scene or a hidden scene that they put in the director's cut or whatever it was, the remastered one, where Han Solo's talking to Jabba the Hutt and he walks over him, steps over him. Like, if you compare the level of CG of that there when that was made, when the new episode 1, 2, and 3 were coming out, versus the CG that exists now, it's a matter of realism. And I think even though like in the originals there was like costumes and weird stuff and stuff that's like, oh my god, that's so fake, that's ridiculous. But it's not fake because they made it and it's real. With CG, when something looks fake, it's almost like you want to be tricked. And if your mind can't look at that and be reasonably tricked, it's like...
You're taken out of it.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's why it was so brilliant to, spoiler alert, put Yoda in The Last Jedi as the puppet.
Right. Well,
not a CG Yoda. And that was fucking awesome.
I thought he was CG, but they based it off the puppet.
No.
No.
Not only did they use the puppet, they either A, got the original puppet or rebuilt it. And on top of it, I can't remember the puppeteer's name, but the guy who puppeted Yoda through all the movies came back to do it. And voice him, no less.
Frank Oz?
Frank Oz, yeah. Frank Oz.
So, yeah, the other thing that was new that they introduced was that Yoda set the Jedi tree temple thing on fire. And for forever we thought Force ghosts were just apparitions with no real power.
Yeah, it was weird to see him have an effect on...
The real.
Yeah. I hesitate to use the term real world, but yes, for lack of a better terminology. That was
he
super
broke
strange.
the physical plane.
Yeah.
With power. And the other thing to consider is Force lightning is a dark side only trait.
Right. And that's one of the big shames of losing Snoke too. Like, he's made out to be this all-powerful... Not only is he made out to be so powerful, but we then get to see it.
Yeah, that guy was a beast.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, and what was weird, and it's kind of what Mark Hamill was complaining about with his character, and I think it's like so much of everything is turned upside down. Like Luke was so quick to turn on a family member, which he was like, he hadn't even met his family, and he was so like his friends and his family. And it's like, oh, my nephew's having bad dreams or whatever. I might as well kill him with my. I better not. It's like Luke would have never done that. Luke would have went back to his fucking temple tent and been like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And I get the grumpy old man hermit thing they went for, but I think we touched on this. I think they pushed it a little too far to where Luke's sacrifice came off as like. You should have been like, man, Luke got yoked back into this, and you know, he dies or had to sacrifice himself so they could get away, and that sucks. We just lost Luke Skywalker. He wanted to stay away to the point where like you're almost like, yeah, that's what you get, old man. You fucking idiot. Like it's almost
kind of.
Yeah, you're almost like happy the character died, and then you catch yourself like, no, that's Luke Skywalker.
Right.
So there was a lot of... I felt torn a lot of the time. It was like, oh, Mark Hamill's giving a great performance. And like, but who the fuck is this character? Is this really Luke Skywalker?
Right.
Like...
And Hamill, dude. Hamill. He went ham on bashing it in fucking every interview. Every single interview.
He went Hamill on it.
Crazy.
He went Hamill.
Although, so yes, it is super out of character, but his instincts were right. I don't know if you've considered that. Like, yes, it was weird for Luke to pull a lightsaber on his fucking nephew, but he was correct to assume that he had been turned. Snoke had already gotten to him at that point. So it was the right call, but it was an out of character call.
See, I guess where I'm torn on thinking this movie was really great or really awful is the fact that you have story expectation, which as a fan, if you've watched any of the other movies, you're going to have it. And Jesus Christ, if I haven't been waiting 30 years to see Mark Hamill wield a fucking lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And you're considering think of the episode 1, 2, and 3 lightsaber fights. Like in Attack of the Clones, Yoda's spinning around like a fucking like one of those fireworks. It's like spitting. You know, when he fights Dooku, and then you see him. It's just like you have that level of lightsaber fight, or even the Obi-Wan. I used to call him Darth Vader at that point. lightsaber fight where it's like,
At the
and it's like,
I've got the high ground now.
right, you have that level of lightsaber fight, and then it just kind of goes back to like, oh, we can barely swing a wooden sword.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, you're like, yeah, it's lightsabers, but it's like, is it lightsabers?
You mean in Last Jedi?
I mean in The Force Awakens, I thought the lightsaber fights were like, it was almost more about, it was almost more about the force power, which is like essentially the potential versus not being a swordsman. And I could understand where Ren isn't close to the swordsman that the previous Jedi are, because swordsmanship is probably not super practiced. But why do you have this fucking hilt, like, with the 2 extra, little side lightsaber things, if you're not a fucking beast swordsman? You know what I mean?
Well, isn't that the point? Like, you have the hilt, so, for protection. Like, so you can't slide, in a real sword battle, the hilt's there to protect your hand from the blade.
Yeah, except for
Doesn't it work the same way?
You gotta think of it like this. Like, here's the hilt, right? The lightsaber can still hit this part, because the way a lightsaber crystal fires it is it has space in between. So, like, you could still, if you're close to the hand, it doesn't really protect you.
Yeah. It is, alright, it's a badass design, but maybe a little nonsensical. And yeah, it is, I think the lightsaber duels between the episodes 1, 2, and 3 trilogy and now this new one are very inconsistent. But I think that was a conscious decision.
Sure, but you would think that they would at least, like, tip the cap somewhere and have some badass something, or at least have Kylo Ren just, like, fucking, like being a fucking super beast, and...
Well, that's what Hamill was at the end. Like, wasn't he deflecting a lot of those? Or did he just get fired on and not deflect anything?
He didn't deflect anything. He just...
Right. Because before realizing he's a Force Ghost, I'm sitting there thinking, holy shit. Like, the deflection... The amount of deflection that's going on there would be astronomical.
Well, the dead giveaway when I knew he wasn't there was while that happened and he stepped out and you saw he wasn't the super gray.
Weird. Yeah, super weird. Why do that?
He did it because he was trying to psychologically trigger Kylo Ren to attack him as he remembered him.
As he remembered, yeah.
Because Kylo Ren was, like, I think 10 years younger there, and the image of Luke Skywalker sitting over him with his green lightsaber was just etched in his mind.
Yeah.
So...
It makes sense.
And you can see from his point of view what he saw. And then you can see from Luke's point of view afterwards, when they kind of show you, yeah, he's right, that did happen. And yeah, he's wrong, that didn't happen. No, this is how it happened. No, this is how it happened. It falls somewhere in the middle.
That was super weird. That was a super weird decision to make.
I'm with you.
To show that flashback twice from 2 different perspectives.
I think it worked. I don't think that was bad at all. But what I don't, again, and I guess what we'll circle back to, I think Mark Hamill did a great job with this. But I think the biggest issue I have, again, is just like, it's like, you didn't need to... I would rather him almost die in the middle of the 3rd movie than at the end of the 2nd movie. Because you know he's going to come back as a Force Ghost, probably.
Agreed.
And it's almost like the timing kind of sucks. It's almost like Rian Johnson wanted to go, fuck you, J.J. Abrams.
Kind of.
And then... Isn't J.J. Abrams directing the last movie?
Yes.
So he's going to just fucking go,
dude,
motherfucker! Well,
that's what I'm wondering. Is he going to say, in the same way that Rian Johnson said, fuck Force Awakens, is he going to say, fuck The Last Jedi?
Right, like, Mark Hamill comes back to life, like Jesus.
Snoke, he brings back Snoke's backstory, like, literally Snoke's in the movie, in flashback the whole time, like, honestly, I really fucking hope so. But knowing J.J. Abrams, he never intended on answering any of those mysteries anyway. He was never going to address the mystery of who Snoke was. And I think we're fools to think that he may have.
Or he just goes really fucking ham and just fucking Luke wakes up on the island and he had a bad dream about everything that happened.
Right. You take the Dallas route.
Oh, Jesus. But overall, I was entertained by the movie. Normally, when a big movie comes out, like Star Wars, the first time I watch it, I'm kind of like trying to enjoy it. I'm trying to think of like the movie as a whole, and then the next time I watch something, I go back and look for details and things I missed to really try to enjoy it. Like I did that with Deadpool. I saw Deadpool 3 times because I waited for that character for so long. As you can see, I got the little. I mean, I got the cup up here. I got the movie quality Deadpool in the back. Like I'm
and the vinyl.
Right. I love that character. Even though it's a rip-off of a DC character. But Marvel did so much more with their hacked-off, mimicked character than DC did with theirs. But Star Wars, I didn't go back and see it a second time.
Neither did I, and I really want to. And literally, if only to see that fucking throne room scene again. So dope.
How could he not know he's about to be sawed in half? See, like, that's another thing. How could he be so in tune with his feelings and know everything, and he can't tell that he's fucking getting killed right there?
Yeah, it seems kind of plot holy.
Right. I think there was a lot of that in this movie. I think it was a good movie. I think it was a decent Star Wars movie, and I think if I was a fan. I think if I was a fan of Star Wars and I hadn't watched the original so many times to really get a feel for those characters, and I just watched it once, and I had no expectations over Mark Hamill or Luke Skywalker's character, I wouldn't be so torn whether the movie's really great or really bad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think we do that as fans, and we were talking about this with I know you told me you haven't seen it, but in Pirates of the Caribbean, it's like the movie series hasn't been rebooted yet, and you've already fucked with the backstory and the lore of the character.
Yeah, see, we can't talk about that because I haven't seen it yet.
Sure, but
I can't comment on it. But to finish our Star Wars conversation, I'm, as you know, I haven't until recently become a fan and appreciated it for what it is, and for the world building that it accomplished. Like,
sure.
It's truly incredible. So, like, I'm not as diehard, I'm not as emotionally invested and connected to the characters as most Star Wars fans. So I've got a little bit of a different perspective on it.
But you can't ride the nostalgia of something like Star Wars, which, let's face it, Star Wars is a nostalgia ride. It basically... You shouldn't be calling it Episode 7. It should be Episode 1B, because you're literally mimicking and trying to...
It is A New Hope, yeah, and that's what The Last Jedi did. Like, what Force Awakens did with A New Hope, Last Jedi did with Return of the Jedi. Like, that whole throne room scene is exactly the same.
And
exactly the same.
Right.
And that's super annoying.
And I get trying to reinvent the story without rebooting the franchise. I'm totally game with that, but like, you can't ride the nostalgia of a character and then completely butcher the character on every level.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I went to see Ghostbusters. Now, as you know, I have a Ghostbusters poster here.
Yeah,
I have a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man
you're
cup.
A
I have an Ecto
fan, yeah.
right here. I have seen Ghostbusters literally over the course of my life maybe 2,000 times. And if you opened up a dialogue right now, I could go line for line with you to the end of the movie. Okay? That's how many times I've seen Ghostbusters. So I owed it to myself to at least go and see the new Ghostbusters. And I was entertained, but it wasn't Ghostbusters. It wasn't even Ghostbusters 2. I thought it was an entertaining movie. I liked Holtzman. I thought she was funny.
It was essentially a different movie, like, dressed up as Ghostbusters.
Right.
Yeah.
It was not...
I didn't see it.
Like...
I couldn't say.
Even though Aykroyd and Murray were both in SNL, and Ramis, like, was friends with them or whatever, and they, you know, like... it was Ghostbusters is not an SNL vehicle, if you get what I'm saying. That felt like an SNL vehicle using the Ghostbusters name.
Right. Yeah.
Just like Caddyshack is an SNL vehicle. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like Caddyshack, but Caddyshack is an SNL movie. Like A Night at the Roxbury is an SNL movie.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters shouldn't be an SNL movie. Ghostbusters stood on its own for forever. And I feel like the only reason I went to Ghostbusters was to ride that nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it was there for a little while, and then they just
and then it
the movie got away. At the end, they brought back like Slimer and like some things. Like it's like, oh, cool, and like, but it wasn't Ghostbusters.
Right.
I don't care that it was named Ghostbusters. It wasn't Ghostbusters. So back to this. This wasn't Star Wars. It was Star Wars, but this wasn't Luke Skywalker. It wasn't him. It was some grumpy old hermit that was in Luke Skywalker's body, basically.
Yeah. Super weird.
Just like I think 80s Metallica is Metallica to me. 90s Metallica is not Metallica. I mean, like, maybe the Black Album's, like, close, but, like, older Metallica is Metallica.
Yeah.
And that's just how I identify with it as a kid growing up. And, like I said, and I had said this many times, if some other band had released Load and Reload, be like, this is a great album, who's this band? Metallica releases Load and Reload, and you're like, I guess. And again, it goes back to expectations. I think if I had never seen the originals,
you wouldn't feel that way.
I wouldn't feel this way. I'd just be like, oh, that Luke Skywalker is a tormented character. Like,
right. Yeah, it's super weird that like that was the decision that was made and everybody went along with it.
Well, everyone didn't go along with it. There was a lot. It wasn't just Mark Hamill. There was a lot of people that were like,
right,
what are you doing?
It didn't stop
no, but the movie
happening.
went out. The movie went out.
So, have you seen Tomorrowland?
I have not seen Tomorrowland.
You know what it is, though?
No.
Really?
I think I saw previews for it.
Okay, so Tomorrowland, it's a section of Disney, one of the parks.
Okay.
It's like futuristic land.
Yep.
That's what it is. So they make a movie about it.
Right, just like they did with Pirates.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes, precisely. I went to see it because I'm a huge Damon Lindelof fan.
Okay.
Who they hired to write the movie. So he wrote it with Jeff Jensen, he's a journalist, he writes for Entertainment Weekly. So they wrote the screenplay together. Damon Lindelof, for those who don't know, created Lost. That was his first show. That was his big thing. And now The Leftovers, which is probably the best show I've ever seen. Anyhow, big Lindelof fan, and I go to see Tomorrowland pretty much for that reason. So they have done with Star Wars and The Last Jedi what they did with Tomorrowland. And I think the reason Rian Johnson was allowed to do everything he did was because Disney wanted the same effect that they got from Tomorrowland. So, at the end of Tomorrowland, the whole thing revolves around this little Tomorrowland pin.
Yeah.
You touch the pin.
Touch the pin, you go, right.
So, one of the big plot points is that this futuristic robot, this little girl robot, she's a scout, essentially. And she's trying to recruit, like, great thinkers, like people who will change the world.
Yep.
So she recruits all these kids and all these people. So the end of the movie essentially is now we've got all these new kids and new people because Tomorrowland was destroyed and we are going to all rebuild it. And this little pin is in the real world something you can buy. So they have a product that now kids can become obsessed with.
Sure.
And not only that, but they are literally recruiting kids. So they did the same thing with The Last Jedi.
It's like the tobacco company.
They abandon Rey's storyline. They make her an orphan, supposedly. I don't think I'm on board with it.
Yeah,
and then the end is, this little orphan is gonna grow up and he's a Force user and he's gonna be the new Resistance.
The kid that grabs the broom?
Right.
Yep.
And it's the exact same thing as the end of Tomorrowland. You know, it's like the Force and the Pin are the same thing.
Sure.
And they're just recruiting kids into their franchise.
Well, I think
so more kids will buy more Star Wars toys, and more
Sure.
kids will buy more Tomorrowland pins and want to go to Disney parks. And I think Last Jedi suffered from that. It suffered from Disney knowing how to make money. Knowing very well how to make money.
Sure.
So the story suffered because of that. That's my big takeaway. That was my feeling at the end of The Last Jedi.
And again, I don't think it was a bad story. I just think if I wasn't,
not necessarily.
if I wasn't expecting it to go a certain way, I probably would have been like, okay, but like, I understand. Like, if I'm the same guy at 50 as I am at 30, then fuck me. Like, do you know what I mean? I get it. It's like, if Luke Skywalker's the same guy 30 years later, then he did something wrong.
But there's a difference from like being a different guy and being a different person.
Being a douche.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Luke, I don't know, he didn't have a douchey bone in his body.
Listen,
right?
you know how I feel about nutrition, right? You saw that fucking gross milk shit he was drinking.
Oh god.
But
he was always drinking that shit.
was he though?
Yeah, dude. Blue milk and A New Hope.
But was he?
Wasn't he? He drinks blue milk and A New Hope.
But was it that blue milk?
I'd imagine it
That
comes
fucking
from the same
shit
creature,
was
right?
gross.
Yeah, that was fucking disgusting. Like, that should not have been in the
Why
movie.
was that in the movie?
I don't know. I've said everything I can say about that fucking movie.
Okay. So to stay on Mark Hamill, you and I were talking about the Joker, and we were also talking about Batman, and we were talking about what we thought was the best Batman. I thought as far as Batman movies, I thought the Dark Knight series itself was one of the more entertaining movies. I think as a whole, though, when we talk about Batman, I think, and again, I'll go back to this, Michael Keaton was my favorite for Batman and Bruce Wayne. I think he captured both characters perfectly. And I gotta admit,
the balance between the two,
and I gotta admit, when they were talking about casting an older Batman, I was almost like, "Ooh, they could go back to Michael Keaton and Tim Burton. That'd be incredible." But it's not the angle DC's shooting right now. And DC has been so up and down in their movies, where Marvel is just like, it goes up a notch, goes up a notch, goes up a notch, goes up a notch, goes up a notch.
Yeah, every time.
It seems like even a movie like Thor, which got like mixed reviews, which I thought it was an entertaining movie. I didn't think it was like all it could be.
Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Mixed reviews?
Yes. There was a lot of people that told me, I'm not talking about critics. Critics were like, greatest movie ever!
Yeah. Ranting and raving.
Right, but what I'm talking about is the people I talked to were like, you know what? I liked it, but it didn't have it, or whatever. Or I thought it was almost like a total, complete comic relief Marvel movie, which is kind of like, what you think Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be.
That's what I was going to say. So, the big mashup for Infinity War is Thor and Guardians.
Yep.
Like, that's how they're being introduced to each other.
Yeah, I think.
Or into the whole timeline.
Right.
So I think they said, okay, Infinity War is going to be a large portion of Thor and Guardians meeting each other. So why not take Thor through the Guardian sieve?
Sure.
You know?
I mean, I can see that.
And I think it worked beautifully.
I like the movie, but
you ask anybody, and they'll tell you that Thor 1 and Dark World are the worst MCU movies. But you ask anybody about Ragnarok, and they'll say it's one of the best MCU movies. So I think Thor needed that. And Hemsworth can pull off the comedy. He's good.
Sure. Because Thor is almost like a dopey oaf. It's almost like...
Yeah.
Right. And then, like the Hulk at the end. Hulk, no! Hulk smash, scary monster! You know, it's like... I think the Hulk was a lot more audible than he should have been. He talked a lot, if that makes sense. But I think that's the only way that story could go.
Right. Yeah, there was no other way around it.
I've been the Hulk for 3 years, or however long.
No, it was good.
When he said that, I was just like, he's like, oh my god!
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo is fucking brilliant. He's so good.
All right, we got off track. Back to Batman. So I was saying, I was almost disappointed when Michael Keaton wasn't even considered, because I think he's proven. I don't know how he does it. He's like some 5'7", 155-pound fucking just little douche monkey, and he gets in these action movies, and he's a fucking boss.
Yeah, he pulled it off.
Did you see the movie? Was it American or CIA? There was some fucking...
American Assassin.
Yes.
I did not.
He was in that movie, and he was a fucking boss.
You saw it?
Yes.
Was it good?
It was a decent movie. It was decent. It wasn't like, you gotta see it, but it was like, if you're bored and got nothing to watch, you throw that on, you'll be entertained. And he was a fucking manimal in that movie. He was a beast. He made that movie go from like, why did I pay $10 for this to well, I paid $10 for this.
Right.
Because there are some times where you go to the movies, you're like, really? They got me. They fucking got me. They got me.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, they got me. Like, they fucking got me,
oh, yeah.
Fuckers. I bought popcorn and fucking...
Spent $20 on snack.
Right. So, but... Because I think he was the best Batman, and I think the second best Batman, arguably, you could argue the first best Batman, and I'll go back to this, Kevin Conroy from the animated series. I think for the amount of episodes he put in, and just the spectrum of how good he was in so many, and a lot of people are gonna be like, yeah, but it's only voice. It doesn't matter. Sometimes when something's animated or CGI, or all you have to lend is your voice, it is even harder to get things out of that character. I think voice acting is either something that like shows you like the cloud of an actor, or it's something that makes you go, nah, okay, well, it doesn't work, you know. I think voice acting is every bit as challenging as regular acting, as you are as a character.
I'd imagine so.
And
Kevin Conroy's incredible.
For instance, Hector Salamanca in Breaking Bad, he couldn't talk, right? He just had the bell to ring.
Sure.
And winking his eyebrows and facial expressions, whatever. When he kills Gus with the bomb strapped and he's like, ding, 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 ding.
Spoiler alert.
The look on his face, the fury, he's like, rah! Like, that was a wonderful piece of acting, and he really made that scene come to life.
Yeah.
Without speaking a word. So it's almost like when you don't have, you know, when you don't have touch, taste, smell, when you can't actually be that on the screen, I think it can be every bit as challenging as regular acting.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think Kevin Conroy, because he did so many animated series episodes, and same thing, he played Bruce Wayne well. He went ever from the eccentric billionaire to the tortured soul, to the depending on because obviously, you know, every animated series episode is loosely based on a comic.
Yeah.
And the storyline in that story arc in a set of 2 to 3 comic books. And there are times where he gets really dark. The only thing they don't really touch on that the comic books do is like sometimes he gets romantically invested in things. And it was like, obviously it was a kid's show. The darkness of it was not PG.
No.
But
definitely not.
The romance was like G. You know?
Right.
So like that's the only part you could argue, and that's where Christian Bale lost me as Batman. I think we touched on the the voice altering. To me, I think the Ben Affleck voice modulation was the perfect mix of I want to change my voice and I want to sound menacing and clarity.
Yeah, it was a great compromise.
And I think Christian Bale's voice was like, I think there's a YouTube clip where someone's laughing because they put it through a voice recognition, and he's gonna say like, "You're gonna rot in a cell forever" or something, but he says it like so crazy. You can't. He's like, it sounds like he literally the voice recognition picks up like, "I'm gonna throw you into a vat of Jello."
That's so funny.
And I think when you see it come up on the screen, you're like, "Oh my god." It does sound more like I'm going to throw you into a vat of Jello than you're going to rot in a cell forever. And it's like...
That's so funny.
Yeah, and it's like, you're like, fuck. If you didn't realize the context that he was talking to someone he's about to, like... If you just heard the clip without it being Batman talking to a criminal, you wouldn't be able to tell what the fuck he said.
You know, it's funny, I've never... Throughout watching all those movies, for all those years... Not once did I ever think to myself, I can't understand him. Not in the way that, like, when the first trailer for Dark Knight Rises came out, you couldn't understand a fucking word Bane said. Like, that was literally just fucking...
Right. Same.
And they fixed it, but I had never thought to myself, like, I can't understand him. I didn't know people felt that way, honestly, until recently, until the past couple of years.
Right, and I think there was a YouTube clip where they compare Keaton to Bale, and I think it's and I think it pops up. I don't know how long it is.
You guys watched Dexter, right?
I watched
You
it.
did.
I don't know if I loved the ending. I thought it was okay. It was a good way to end it, but it wasn't like my dream ending.
No, it was kind of stupid.
I thought they and you know what? How do you really end a successful series, especially one like Dexter?
You end it the way it was originally intended to
I
end.
thought he should have been killed.
I don't know what plot devices or narrative mechanism would have brought him to this point, but your last shot of the show is Dexter lying on a fucking table, saran wrapped to a table, plastic wrapped, with all of the people he killed hanging around him. Or like getting the lethal injection with all the pictures of the people hanging around him. That was how it was supposed to end. Originally, that was the original intent.
Who was gonna kill him?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what narratives or plot devices would have brought him to that point. But that is a far better final image for that story.
Sure.
Anyhow, the only reason I ask is because I just found this out recently. Because I love Michael C. Hall and I miss getting to watch him so much. I found out that Michael C. Hall voices Batman in one of the DC animated movies.
Really?
Yes, and I can't remember which one it was, but I did see a clip from it, and it was so cool. So cool.
So,
anyway.
I pulled up this YouTube clip. I don't know if it's going to play it, but... Okay, my video's on it. It's not showing it, but it's essentially Michael Keaton versus Bale, like how they handled things in the...
You're not just saving a life. You're saving your...
Shut up, you're going to jail. You'll be in a bed of jail forever.
Yeah, that was the exact...
Right.
And that's fucking crazy. Like...
Yeah.
Could you... I mean, like... It's just fucking...
You'll be in a padded cell forever.
You'll be in a bed of jail forever.
But, like...
Yeah. No. It's very not articulated, not clear.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked throughout that whole. They didn't take advantage of the whole thing where it's like, what did you say? What?
That college humor.
Right.
That college humor video is so fucking funny.
Is that the one with Patton Oswalt?
No, it's It's not Patton Oswalt. It's,
Wait, what's the guy's name?
Pete Holmes.
He was the... Are you sure?
Pete Holmes was Batman, yeah.
No. Patton Oswalt was the Penguin, I thought.
No.
Are we talking about the same video?
No, we're not talking about the same video. Batman chooses his voice is what I'm talking about. And it's the...
Oh, okay.
It's the scene where he's got the guy hanging upside down. Where were the other drugs going? The guy's like, what is that? It's like, that's my bat voice. So he does all these impersonations, you know, like, This is Kermit the Frog. This is Dustin Hoffman. Where were the other drugs going? Or John Malkovich. Where were the other drugs going? I can't do a very good John Malkovich, but
I feel you.
hilarious nonetheless.
So officially, who is your best Batman? Who's your 1 and 2? Actually, we'll go 1, 2, 3.
I think I gotta go with Bale.
How dare you?
Come on.
I
I think I just...
Oh my God. The movie I can understand, but him as Batman, his action sequences weren't as good as Affleck's. They weren't. They were close to the same as Keaton's, and Keaton was in a rubber suit where he couldn't move his fucking head.
That's what I'm talking about. Like the rubber suit thing.
Technology wasn't there yet.
No, it wasn't, but I don't know. Is it true that in Batman Begins he couldn't turn his head? Was The Dark Knight the first time?
I think no. I want to say Batman and Robin. It was one of the ones I think with George Clooney maybe.
No.
Where he was able to turn his head. Because they like separated the top. They had like a separate
somebody in like the supplements on the DVD for Dark Knight says that it's the first time. I mean, whether or not that's the truth, but I was thinking back on it, like Batman Begins, he can't turn his head, really. Like I would think that would be something Nolan would have picked up on instantly.
Well, it's kind of that. Well, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, the action scenes for Michael Keaton versus Christian Bale are like, for the time and the difference and whatever, like it's almost like. And just think about this: does Michael Keaton strike you as an athletic beast?
No.
Like Christian Bale is like 10% body fat, and he's jacked, and he's in great shape, and like.
For the role, depending on what movie he's shooting.
Sure, but when he was Batman,
for Batman
he was in good shape. I mean, and he was fight training, whatever. And like, I think Michael Keaton's fighting is more believable. And Michael Keaton's a pipsqueak. But anyways, so you're saying Bale? Go ahead.
I gotta go. Bale, Keaton, and honestly, Affleck. I really like Val Kilmer. I'm a big Val Kilmer fan. Those movies are just
garbage,
unwatchable almost.
I can't believe you snubbed Conroy for Affleck.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the animated series. I loved the animated series growing up. But I really like what they've done with Affleck's character. What Affleck has done with it. I really think he's a great Bruce Wayne.
I agree.
I like seeing an older-ish Bruce Wayne. I think he's a good Bruce Wayne, and I love the fighting style. Like I said, I think before I said this to you, they adopted like the animated series fighting style,
oh, totally,
the comic book fighting
totally.
style, and never in all the fucking 6, 7 movies,
15, whatever fucking there are, right?
7, 8 movies that we've seen Batman in. Never once has he ever fought like that, and it's just so cool to see. So cool. So yeah, Bale, Keaton, Affleck.
Bale.
Yep.
All right, how about the Joker? I'm going with Hamill, right? And then I'm going with Ledger, then Nicholson. And then Jared Leto, that wasn't the Joker. I don't care what he says. Go ahead.
Ledger, Hamill.
If Heath Ledger's alive today, Mark Hamill is your number one Joker.
No. Disagree. I'm a big Heath Ledger fan.
I love Heath Ledger. I think he loved. I don't know. I can love.
He was great. He's always been great.
Yeah, and I think he's always. I think it was great to see some range because you always see him in like cheeseball, good guy flicks.
Yeah.
So, because that's apparently who he was in real life. He was the cheesy, happy-go-lucky good guy.
Yes. I really want to see that documentary that came out last year.
I watched it.
Was it good?
It was good.
I really want to see it.
It was good.
The reason I'm not putting Hamill as number one is because what Ledger, like I said, Ledger made that his character. Like, that was him. Like, the makeup was his. He didn't get it done in a makeup trailer. Like, the voice was his. All him.
I'm with you.
Reinvented.
Totally with you.
Reinvented for a modern time.
I get it.
The animated Joker, there is no reinvention there. It's just a very straightforward voice acting part.
I'll go one step further though. And the only reason in my mind Hamill edges out Ledger. It was the animated series. It was a couple other shorts, and I believe a couple video games where he had to play a different Joker for each thing. Even though the voice and the laugh and everything was the same, I think he was really creepy, really dark, and then even sometimes PG in the animated series, and I think without his performance, the birth of the Harley Quinn character, that doesn't even happen. The popularity wouldn't be there for it.
And that's another thing. That's another thing with the animated series. Like, the obsession that people have with Harley Quinn.
Naomi, my stepdaughter.
You were just telling me about the shoes.
Yeah, she makes...
Right. So
shout out to paintobeauty.com. You can buy her stuff there. Sorry, go ahead.
So Bethany and I, maybe 2 years before Suicide Squad came out, were the Joker and Harley Quinn for Halloween.
You have the perfect profile to be the animated series Joker.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? So I dress up as, like, you know, Heath Ledger's Joker, like the modern Joker.
Right.
And I've got the profile for the animated. Yeah. But I've always said, like, remember how I was talking about how Dave Chappelle, how I was a huge Chappelle fan far before the show made him the most popular comic in the world?
Sure. I liked him on Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes, dude. So funny.
And did you know that Dave Chappelle and Jim Breuer had a spin-off of Home Improvement that was like greenlit, went through and just...
Half-Baked?
No.
Home Improvement?
No. They were on Home Improvement together.
Tim Allen. Home Improvement.
With Tim Allen, Home Improvement, the show. They were guests on Tool Time.
Shut the fuck up.
I swear to you, you can look it up.
Shut the fuck up.
And I want to say the show was called Jim and Dave. And the name of the show was Buddies.
No.
All right, I got to look it up right now. Hold on.
That's ridiculous.
Buddies,
Anyhow.
Jim and Dave. Hold on.
No. I'm
go
with
ahead,
you.
Go ahead.
But point being that I always seem to find myself in a situation where I find myself like attracted and becoming obsessed with something, attracted to something, obsessed with it, and then a couple years later, like, it's the biggest thing in the world. And same with Dane Cook, Dave Chappelle, and Harley Quinn and the Joker. Like, a year and 2 years after, everybody is Harley Quinn and the Joker for Halloween. It's like the costume. And people who don't even know who Harley Quinn is are dressing up like Margot Robbie.
Oh, she's a hot piece, man. Did you see her in The Wolf of Wall Street, man? Come on.
She's alright.
Dude.
No, she's alright.
Come on.
Eh.
Come on.
Doesn't really do it for me.
Well, you are one out of the 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay, Split-Sider, Buddies, Dave Chappelle's Home Improvement spinoff that actually got made.
What?
Sometimes TV shows drag their unfunny, uninteresting, yet highly rated feed across our living rooms for years. Who let this happen? We cry in vain. Other times, the powers that be get things right. That's where Brilliantly Cancelled comes in, looking at the shows that didn't make it past their first season and saved us all a ton of grief. Let me see. There was a time when Tim the Toolman Taylor changed lives. On March 14th, 1985, two gentlemen that went by the names of Jim and Dave didn't realize that their tickets to Tool Time would lead to stardom. But as is the world's way sometimes, when you let your guard down, great things can happen. After Taylor, for the umpteenth time, interrupted a perfectly normal and informative lesson on how to better your home through old-fashioned hard work and blue-collar craftsmanship, to vent about his personal life and sweep... Jesus, this is the longest run-on sentence ever. And make sweeping gender generalizations. He asked the audience if anyone could relate to women tricking them into fights as women won't do. Jim and Dave knew exactly what he was talking about and were called up to the stage.
Dude, what?
Supposedly, Dave Chappelle's first 7 minutes of screen time on television was so impressive, ABC executives hurriedly developed a show that would star Chappelle, who some people knew from 1993's Men in Tights, and Jim Brewer, complete unknown, playing their characters Dave and Jim from the Home Improvement episode.
Holy shit.
There you go.
Holy shit. How have I never heard about that? That's nuts.
Well, there was a... Apparently, Joe Rogan was in some baseball sitcom that I had never heard of. Apparently, like, there was... I guess it was because he was on...
News radio.
News radio, right. Where he was the... It's so funny, like, they have him as, like, an electrician, tech-savvy, like, fix-it guy, and he's, like, knows nothing.
Right. I just saw clips of News Radio for the first time, and him in News Radio for the first time.
Right.
Like, just last week.
Him and Andy Dick had really good chemistry over their agitation, because apparently Andy Dick is a fucking creepy motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Joe Rogan says, like, he whipped out his dick on him, like, 5 times. Or something. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
How does that guy not get accused of sexual assault or something?
Seriously. And
You know what I mean?
And all these fucking people.
And you talk to all these women comedians, they're like, yeah, Andy's grabbed my ass and whipped his dick out. Oh, well, it's Andy Dick,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, wait a minute, what? And Andy Dick's not even attractive.
No.
I can understand you're like, it's Brad Pitt. Yeah, Brad Pitt grabbed my tit. Of course. And I told him to keep grabbing my tit. I'm trying to figure out that chair, bro. What do you want to do?
I want to bring it this way.
You're as forward as it goes,
God
bro.
damn it.
That's why I was telling you to sit on the other thing.
Whatever. All good.
You need some back
Fucking
support.
Andy Dick.
Lean back, bro. Just lean back.
Nah, I'm not doing the lean.
Okay, well,
Fucking weird.
I'll get a
Very
better
weird.
chair for you next time.
No, all good.
But yeah, so that's something that I find completely terrifying. Like, I'll give you an example. Nate and I used to go pick up chicks, right? And maybe in my mid-20s, Nate could go up to a girl that was like slightly overweight. When I mean slightly, I mean fucking ever so slightly. Not even like whatever. And he could go up to her and be like, "Hey, fat bitch, what are you up to?" And she'd be like, "Ah, you're so funny," and slap his hand when he puts up the high five. And like, if I stumbled in a conversation like at all, "Oh, you're so full of yourself. You're an asshole." Blah 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 blah. It's like I could never understand how some people. It's like, you're Louis C.K. You're a fucking. You need to be put to a stop. You're the highest grossing comedian. I think only since the things that happened, only Kevin Hart is doing more than him. And I think you go from that to you're totally off the radar. You're dead to the world for a little while because you jerked off on the phone. Or like, it's not like he trapped chicks in his room. It's not like he did something vile, and it's not like he had true power over these women like someone like Weinstein had, where it's like, you know, he's blocking the entrance to the door, he's holding their career hostage, whatever.
Literally holding career hostage.
He's
so fucked up.
He's an influential character that may be able to help you, but it's not like he's Cosby raping, right? It's not like he's going completely off the reservation. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna whip my dick out and jerk off, all right?" And you listen to most of the women that say it's like, "I thought it was funny, I thought it was weird and creepy." Now after hearing all these other poor women, I'm thinking maybe I was affected in a negative way. It's like, fuck you. It's like when it happened, you should have did something, and then it wouldn't have happened.
Right. I think, like I said before, Chappelle's getting way too much shit for this. Chappelle calls Louis C.K. accuser weak. Like,
it is weak. It is totally fucking weak.
I mean, if it's fucked up to say, it's fucked up to say.
Let me ask you this: if your dream is to be a filmmaker or to be involved in show business in some way, right? That's one of the biggest reasons that you're so enamored and tuned into entertainment.
Right.
Okay. If some fucking guy, if a woman, opposite sex, some woman came up to you, she's not like Weinstein gross. It's not like Roseanne gross.
I would not let a situation like that even come close. Like
to derailing your dream train.
As far as I'm concerned, I was put on Earth to make movies. That is my purpose here, and that is what I'm going to do with my life long as I live.
I'll go one step further. To entertain people.
Yes, to entertain people.
Because it could be a movie, could be a short, could be a TV show. Some type of... It doesn't necessarily have to be a movie.
I do spoken word poetry.
Perfect.
People love it.
So you're...
Not me, but people love spoken word.
No, I got it. I'm just saying. So it goes back to the question. Let's go one step further. If you only had one opportunity, right? You had one opportunity, and you've been scraping and clawing 15, 20 years, right? Some 50-year-old executive who's not attractive, but not like gross, not unattractive, says, "Get down there and lick chow, and I'll make your dreams come true." Do you think you would be like, you know what? I've worked so hard for this, and this is my best opportunity. I think I just got to say fuck it and do this, and then I'm set. Do you think it cheapens what you're trying to do if you do it that way?
No.
Or do you think you just say, fuck it, I'm gonna go out there because this is gonna get me on the stage, and then the people can decide if they like me or not? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a tough question, though. That's a very tough question. Because, I mean, then...
First off, you're single. How about that?
Are you losing... Yeah. Yes, that is to be assumed in this hypothetical.
Or you have a really supportive wife.
Oh, yeah, really supportive.
Right.
Is it artistically... You're just going down on some chick.
To
give you an opportunity. Right.
You've done some good shorts, but for whatever reason you're not breaking onto the scene. People aren't finding you. She happened to be clicking around YouTube and saw a short you made and went like, "This is actually pretty good." Calls you into her office. There's sparks in her mind. She smells your pheromones. She wants your man juice. Whatever the fuck, however it happens. She's attracted to you and says, "You know what?
Do I take the bait?"
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes.
I can't say. That's really hard. That's really hard to say.
But
probably not.
But it's the type of situation where almost every person you ask that isn't gay, if you say, "Hey, would you suck a dick for $1 million?" If you're a millionaire, you might still consider it. But the point is like $1 million is life-changing money. $1 million isn't what $1 million was in the 80s or the 50s or wherever. But $1 million is fucking $1 million. And if you're not a greedy fuck, you really could live on $1 million. You could live the rest of your life on $1 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have even the most mild work ethic, you could have a good lifestyle with $1 million. So again, it goes back to where people say, "No, I wouldn't do that." There's $1 million in cash. No one else is around. It's like, yeah, well, I gotta suck it for, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so theoretically, you can say yes, but, you know, it's easy to laugh about and say, yeah, what the fuck? I'll take a shot in the mouth for $1 million.
I think...
But when it comes down to it, I don't know. I think the integrity is lost.
Right, but here's the thing. Especially when you're talking about music or show business of any kind, the opportunity is... It could be your only opportunity. Like, that one executive that found you clicking around YouTube might be the only person that sees that. That might be the only person that's truly out there seeking talent. just happens to be a fucking pig. And it could be your only opportunity. This is what I'm saying. You've been in the industry for 25 years, and you've never even sniffed a directing, writing, or producing role.
That's why it's hard to say. 20 years. But then if you say yes, then that's the same thing as saying, oh, well, fucking, I don't know, Ashley Judd or Kate Hudson or whoever it was should have slept with Harvey Weinstein to be in a Lord of the Rings movie.
Well, let me ask you this.
To say one is to say the other.
But,
and I don't think that's true. I don't think that's right.
What was the chick that was in The Ugly Truth with Gerard Butler? Katherine Heigl, is that her name?
Yeah.
She was also in Knocked Up?
Right.
Okay. How did that chick get to be a star? How did Renee Zellweger get to be a star? There's pictures of her, Harvey Weinstein's pawing her like she's a fucking teddy bear, and she's all over him and whatever.
They've been acting since they were kids, though, too.
But they didn't really get breaks. All of a sudden she's seen at a party with him, and now she's in Bridget Jones' Diary.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? And that bitch, don't get me wrong, I think Renee Zellweger's attractive, but she's not like movie star LA hot chick attractive. She gave him a blowjob on the couch for a starring role attractive, and it worked. Do you know what I'm saying? Like how about all the women out there that not only got one movie, two movies, three movies, and just didn't say shit about it. I'm not touching that. How many careers did that guy make where those women did heinous things? And you know what? I think what was the other movie? What was the movie with where Jim Carrey has split personality?
Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yes, Me, Myself, and Irene. If she wasn't Bridget Jones, does she get that other role?
Maybe.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but probably not. Probably not.
Right. What I'm saying is whether or not careers were made on it, it shouldn't have to have been that way.
Sure, but what I'm saying is you're going for an opportunity. If he can give you an opportunity to be seen and then the people like you, the fact that you sucked a dick doesn't mean that the people didn't like you. People don't like you because you sucked his dick. People liked you because they liked you. But people can't like you if they don't know you they don't know you exist.
No. You find another way. There are other ways. If you're okay with doing it,
if you're a late 20s female,
then more power to you.
You're a late 20s female, that window's going to close. Do you know what I'm saying? Not everyone can be what's her face? Jessica Alba. She was in Idle Hands. There was that scene where like Devon Sawa was getting crushed by that car and her ass is in the
ridiculous.
Oh, you remember?
Ridiculous.
Oh, dude, like she was so hot in that movie, and I think when I came out, how old was I? 17 or whatever.
Yeah.
She just got thrown roll after roll after roll because she had that.
Because she was hot.
Right, she had that pretty face. She was a decent actor. She was hot, but
she was talented too.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like Renee Zellweger is not Jessica Alba, and I don't mean that Renee Zellweger is a worse actor than Jessica Alba. What I'm saying is the best way to break on the scene to be an actress is to be fucking hot. Like Scarlett Johansson, right? What was that movie where like they break in and steal test scores or whatever? Like, and like in the beginning of the movie, I'm watching in the theater with I think I was in high school still, and like it pans up to an upskirt of her, and she's got like cherry red lipstick on, and she's teasing some dork across the library from her. Anyways, that chick got to where she is now because she was able to look like that and be like that and get to a point where she could grow her craft and become a good actress. Now she's in all these Marvel roles, action stars. She's always like a strong female character, or a drama good supporting character. It's like she doesn't get those roles if she's not hot to begin with. Is my point. So Whether you're gonna fuck some greasy, disgusting, old, shiesty guy could be the only way for some of those women to break onto the screen and show their talent. Is that a sad narrative? Yes. But if they're willing to fucking take it in the ass to become a star actress, then they're willing to do more than all those other people are willing to do to fulfill that dream. That must be a real dream for them. Because either one, they're really committed and they don't give a fuck and they're going to do whatever it takes, which is admirable, or two, their self-values aren't that high and the dream still outweighs their conscience. And either way, they're successful people that are driven. And I don't see anything wrong with what they did. I'm not saying they're... I don't look at Renee Zellweger and be like, that bitch. Versus I look at Scarlett Johansson and go, yeah, she did it the right way. It's like she used the tools she had to get the job done. Scarlett Johansson is hammering in a nail. Renee Zellweger, she's holding the Phillips head screwdriver by the sharp end and going, The nail eventually went in.
Doesn't matter how it got there.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if it's really your dream and it could be your only opportunity, I think you have to seize it. But I could be wrong.
I don't think I agree. Yeah, I don't think I agree.
Would you care to elaborate on the disagreement there?
Well, I mean, if somebody's happy to do it, somebody's happy to give a blowjob for a part.
They're not happy to do it, but it's the tax.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's gross that you're being forced to do it. I think it's disgusting. But a lot of those women knew full well what they were getting into.
Well, you make it sound like there is no other way. You make it sound like that's the only option.
For some of them, it was. For some of them, a starring role was only going to happen in that way.
I don't know that you can confidently say that.
Well, and again, look at someone like when was Renee Zellweger's first Bridget Jones movie? Like
2003.
Man, you fucking. Let's see. You could be right. No, 2001. So how old was Renee Zellweger in 2001? She was born in '69.
Doesn't even fucking look like her, dude. So weird.
I think she. I don't think she looks good when she loses that much weight. Is the problem?
Super strange.
All right, so let's rip this up real quick. Okay, so we're in. So right now she's almost 50, right? Right. So how old was she in 2001? 17. Yeah. So she was already 30. Yeah, she was early 30s, late 20s, right? 32.
Yeah, but Bridget Jones wasn't her fucking big break either. Jerry Maguire, arguably.
Well,
and that was like 97. 6 maybe even.
Yep. How old was she in that movie? Okay, mid-20s,
right?
Mid-20s? Yeah, she was 27.
Oh yeah, dude. She was in that weird fucking Texas Chainsaw movie with Owen Wilson. Super weird.
Right, she was in all these shitty fucking TV movies and things, and No, you know what? What she was good in was and I think this was actually her first movie was Empire Records. She was the trashy chick that fucked what's his face, Rex Manning.
Right, but I mean that's a cult movie. Jerry Maguire was the big one.
But right, but she wasn't getting any starring roles, is what I'm saying. She wasn't getting any like, holy shit, Renee Zellweger.
She was though. That's what Jerry Maguire was.
Right, but what I'm saying, okay, but who had a hand in making that movie?
Not Miramax.
Who made this fucking movie?
Yeah, IMDb doesn't. It's weird. They don't have the like production company readily available. like who produced and who distributed it. It's weird.
Well, Weinstein Movie Company or whatever the fuck that was, didn't that
wasn't until early 2000s.
Didn't he have a hand in developing a lot of? Because I think he also gave parts to other producers and things that movies he had almost nothing to do with. Like as I have a star, I want you to do this. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, type of deal.
Yeah.
But I guess that was one of the big things about Renee Zellweger was supposedly a lot of the breaks she had gotten were from him.
Oh.
And
you're not just picking a random.
Oh no! I'm being serious. Renee Zellweger really was seen being pawed in the early to mid '90s by Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, okay. I'm not throwing out a hypothetical. I'm saying Renee Zellweger is not speaking up about it when she's asked directly because she's like, oh no.
Because it's your belief that she took part in these advances.
Yes.
If that's the case, I'm happy for her.
Right, exactly. I am too. Because I don't think, like I said, I don't think she's Scarlett Johansson. And I don't think she could ever be Scarlett Johansson no matter how much surgery, cosmetic work, or whatever. I don't think she'll ever get there. And I think, and again, she's using a different tool in the toolbox to get what she needed, but if she got there and she got what she wanted and she's happy with how her life turned out, and all she had to do was, like, fuck some creepy, disgusting guy a couple times, then, like, there are women that fuck creepy, disgusting guys in L.A. every day to go for that marriage settlement.
Right.
And, like, I think that's creepy and gross, too, but...
Yeah, I mean, more power to her. I can't say that I would... I can't say I would. Period.
Alright, way off topic here, because we were talking about Louis C.K. and how Dave Chappelle... I think this predator shit is going too far at hand. I know people personally that have been accused of raping someone, and I know a relative of mine that spent, I want to say, 3 months in jail for being accused...
For something he didn't do.
Correct.
Yes, it is bullshit.
And
any woman can come out and say that this person raped me 10 years ago.
Right.
And will be taken seriously.
Right, well...
And there's nothing you can do to defend yourself.
I'm not going to say any names or who it was, obviously, but someone, a relative of mine, went to jail for months, was in danger of losing their home, lost their job, their whole life was completely turned upside down. Thankfully, it was kept out of the paper, but people close to him knew the situation, and you know what? Like, that type of person might have to change their identity or move away because their life will never be the same.
Yeah.
In the back of their minds, they're thinking, like, you know what I mean?
Dude, that worries the shit out of me.
Oh, dude.
It worries me that if 15 years from now, 5 years from now, I'm living in California doing what I want to do.
Some chick you had a one-night stand with comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm terrified that is a possibility. Because it is.
Sure. Absolutely. And it's not out of the realm of reality either.
No, of course not.
I'll tell you, a friend of mine, who I also won't name, said that I was hooking up with a girl, I think I was maybe 19 or 20 at the time, okay? I had just broken up with a girl I had dated in high school for years. No, maybe it was even 22 or 23. But told me at a party that some guy was saying that I raped some girl. And people were intently listening that knew me and were like, what? Really? No way. Are you sure? Like, whatever. Oh, yeah, she told me everything, whatever. And this girl that I had hooked up with, the other girl that was at the party, said she went through a messy breakup. She came over like half-cocked and was like, you know, I need to get laid. The
right.
chick at the party. And like, I was inside... and I was licking her nipples. And I'm, you know what I mean? And she's like, no, get off. I can't get out. I won't say the guy's name. Out of my head. And I just was like, oh, no problem. Ripped out, like, whatever. No problem. Do you want me to get you a coffee to, like, sober up? Like, what's going, like, dude, how many guys do you know that wouldn't just be like, God damn it, can I just fucking finish? Or, like, dude, I mean, I completely was like,
90% of I think 90% of the male population would have continued on. Maybe.
tried to like, really? Are you sure? Let me just.
Right.
Right. I was just like, no, I'm good. Okay, no problem. But yeah, so she didn't elaborate how she knew that there's no way that I'm just not that personality. But she essentially called the guy. He's like, you're full of shit. You're lying. He would never do that.
Yeah, I'm terrified that something like
I've
that's
personally
gonna happen.
hooked up with him and whatever. But here's what you got to be scared about in this climate. That guy says that, right? Someone at that party, who doesn't even know that girl, goes to the police, gives them my address. I'm up in handcuffs, and I spend a week in jail while they reach out and contact that girl. And she's like, what? That didn't happen. And then I get released. What if I miss some important meeting? You don't know what day of your life is going to be your day.
No, it's bullshit.
And like your life is completely put on hold while this happens. And I think there's going to be a boy who cried wolf situation. I think we're going to get to a point in our society where it's going to be like, this has gone too far, and then women are going to lose that power, the power of getting the benefit of the doubt. It's going to happen eventually.
You think so?
Yes, it will happen eventually.
I don't know.
Not only that, but do you realize the complete double standard for rape in this country? Like, this is going to sound crazy, and feminists everywhere are going to be out crying, and people are going to be pouring into my fucking email telling me how much of a monster I am. Women rape men more than men rape women.
That's ridiculous.
No. There's a reason it's not classified. There's a reason that's not true. The only thing is you cannot have rape without penetration by law. Meaning like, if a woman holds a gun to your head and forces you to go down on her, right?
It's not rape.
It is not rape. It is classified as an other sexual assault. And for a lot of these things, you don't even have to register as a sex offender.
That's nuts.
Military, jobs, whatever, women are far more ruthless sexually with men. In the military especially.
That's nuts.
Right, but it's not classified as rape. Look it up. It's creepily horrible.
Yeah.
And another double standard. Let's say you and a young lady have 3 or 4 drinks, right? You're not shit-faced. You're barely drunk, or you got a good buzz going, right?
Okay.
You guys sleep together, right? Legally, you raped her.
Why?
Because if she's over the legal limit of driving, right? Then she can't legally consent to sleeping with you, right? And even though you're in her and she's around you and whatever, because you're penetrating her, it's rape. And because she's not penetrating you, it is not rape.
That's bullshit.
You can look it up. There's so many guys.
No, I believe it. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
that's fucked up.
That's what I'm saying. There's a complete double standard for rape in the country.
Yeah.
And I think it's horrible. Now, there are definitely some monsters out there that get away with fucking crazy shit. Like that college kid that raped some girl behind a dumpster in front of his football team or something.
Yo.
Got probation.
That story, I could not believe that story when I read about it. When it was happening. Like, the day he got his sentence. It just,
Money, man.
Could not fucking believe it, dude.
Money talks.
Dude, like, this fucking kid literally raped a girl in public, in front of people, and got off.
Dude.
No pun intended.
Well, literally and figuratively, unfortunately.
For real. Like,
and
Brock.
Right.
Brock fucking, what was his name?
Brock, piece of shit.
Everybody should know this guy's name.
Brock, piece of shit, who's probably going to get gang raped in an alley one day.
Scumbag,
right.
Dude.
And you know what? And
that fucker got off.
And another complete double standard is, and this happens. You can look this up. There's stats to prove it. Interracial men that date younger like white women or even Asian women. If your skin tone is just a tad too dark, and you're having one of those like she's 17, you're 18. Technically, there's like it's supposed to be within 6 months, and it's like 7.5, whatever. Like, do you know how many kids are serving like a year or 2 in jail to get the first?
That stuff is bullshit too. like the statutory thing, like.
If you're dating a girl for 2 years and the parents know, and then you have a messy breakup, or he cheated on you or whatever, it's not fucking rape.
No.
It's not.
No.
The parents fucking knew.
No, that's bullshit. Yeah.
So
and I'm sure that stuff happens all the time.
All the time. And it happens a lot more. And I was about to say, there are young African American guys that are 18 that serve 18 to 21 in jail for rape when it's, come on, really?
Right.
I think that's fucked up, and that kid gets a few months of probation. Like, fuck that.
To wrap this up, I can never understand the fear of being a woman and wondering whether or not somebody is going to be able to overpower me.
Sure.
And force me into
Absolutely.
a sexual situation.
Total
can't,
fear. Scary.
Yeah, I can't understand that fear. I never will, because neither of us ever will, because neither of us will ever be women. But the other side of that coin is the fear that any girl I've ever been with could come out and say, I raped her, and everybody would take it at face value. Like, nobody's questioning whether or not Danny Masterson actually raped this girl. And it was said that it's an ex-girlfriend. So somebody that he dated is coming out and saying that he raped me like 10, 15 years ago.
Show.
Yeah, and he got fired from the Netflix show.
Right, just because they're like, you know what? This is a charge.
Whether it's true or not.
Right. There was repercussions.
Right.
I can give you one better situation. There was a wardrobe chick that worked at NFL Films or NFL Network, said that Marshall Falk, Warren Sapp, just basically like that 6 or 7 guys all sexually assaulted her, right? And like you could tell she was good looking in her day, but like, dude, these guys are ex-NFL football stars. Some of them Hall of Famers, and like they still look good and are in good shape. They could walk out and whip their dick out on the street, and some random woman would be like, "Oh, are you Marshall Falk?" Oh,
yeah.
And like, and she got fired for stealing clothes, and then went out and did these allegations. Every single one of those guys is on an unpaid suspension. Now,
really?
Yeah. Now
that's so fucked up.
Right.
Oh my god.
Crazy.
Makes me so mad.
And 2 things that make rape even scarier is, one, it is ingrained in our DNA at some level, at some reptilian level, that we should be able to dominate a woman and sleep with her. At some level in every single person's brain, it's there. But rape is not a crime of sex usually. It's a crime of power. Like, the sexual instinct to try to take it is suppressed far enough down for most human beings. And here's another scary thing. The part of the woman's brain that, like, wants to be raped or roughed up, or the feeling of being raped, is heavily prevalent in the brain still. That's why a lot of women like to get choked, scratched, whatever. It's a simulation of rape,
yeah.
and there's a hormone response in the brain that triggers the fight or flight mechanism, cortisol. For a man, it wreaks havoc on your body. For a woman, at the right time, can increase the pleasure center. So it's like, why are you programmed that way?
Yeah.
So
that's strange.
Right. So, and I've always been careful with who I've been rough with. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it first. I always have them ask or whatever. It's like, I don't particularly get off on it, but I know there's a lot of girls that do.
It's the kind of thing that has to be discussed.
Right. And that's another scary situation. Let's say you have a one-night stand. A woman says, "Choke me a little. Do it. Just, and you're doing it. You're like, I don't know. Like, come on, please."
Yeah, and the next day she calls cops.
Right. He choked me and raped me. It's like, I have a horror story about a girl that wanted me to bite her hard to break skin, and my dick went limp, and I got the fuck out of there. I'm like, I'm not participating in this shit. Fuck this.
Really?
She wanted me to make her bleed.
Really?
She was like a blood fetish, whatever.
Wow.
Right.
That's super.
I saw her.
I don't even know what to call that. That's crazy.
I saw her later at a Reiki thing where she was. I'm like, yeah, you fucking need it.
Wow. Weird. Super weird. No, I've never come across that. Okay, this is a super depressing
All right,
subject.
Let's go back.
On to the next one.
Right. Let's go back to So we were talking about superheroes, Batman. Um, we got into. What do you think of DC's attempt to rival Marvel's success with the Avengers? A lot of people told me the way Justice League panned out, it wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't the Avengers. It wasn't Iron Man. It wasn't any. It was like a second-rate Marvel movie, basically. How do you feel about that?
I think DC is trying to clear their own path, and rightfully so. You don't want to do the same thing, but I think they chose the wrong person to spearhead it. I think they could have been successful had they stayed on track with what Man of Steel could have been.
Right.
Man of Steel was incredible, and then they just let Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder do whatever they wanted, and it turned into shit. I don't know why they brought Chris Terrio back, because the biggest problem with Batman v Superman was the fucking nonsensical plot. Literally illogical, made no sense, but they bring him back for Justice League, to write Justice League. And now he's writing another big superhero movie. I can't remember which one. But I think it's good that they're trying to make their own way. They're just going about it all wrong.
Do you know where I think Batman paved the way for all these other superhero movies, which is another reason I like to pay some dues to or give some credence to Michael Keaton. In reality, he was the first big. I mean, you could say Christopher Reeve, but I don't think until Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson were in Batman was the superhero genre at all taken seriously. Because even Christopher Reeve's Superman was super cheesy.
Yeah, very camp.
And
very camp.
And then I think they went in the other direction with it, with the Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Batman and Robin, Alicia Silverstone,
equally as camp.
They were going here. And then they were like, this isn't
reverse
good for kids.
Reverse trajectory.
And then somewhere around X-Men, it shot back up, with Hugh Jackman and.
Yeah, the first X-Men movie set the bar for what the MCU would be.
Right, and I think where Marvel is going right and where DC is going wrong is, Marvel isn't force feeding their best storylines and trying to cram it in to get money and ratings. X-Men in general, it was kind of a reimagining of X-Men the animated series. The only thing I didn't really like was I don't like how they tried to make Jubilee and Rogue one character. That was something I noticed in X-Men. They tried to because Jubilee's is Wolverine's buddy,
right?
And it's his almost like his daughter.
Oh yeah.
And they tried to do that with Rogue. They tried to make Rogue and Jubilee.
No, they should have just put Jubilee in the fucking movie,
right?
Because she was such a dope character. I actually did not enjoy the first two X-Men movies that much. When they came out, I really didn't.
I didn't think they were great movies, but I think there were some great characters. There was some great acting.
Yeah,
There was some heavy nostalgia that was triggered.
Definitely.
And I really believe that those movies were why Iron Man was allowed to be Iron Man.
Definitely. 100%.
And it just seems like because of the way the storytelling has gone and because of the way things have been laid out, Marvel can do almost anything at this point and it works. Or let's call it what it is. Disney can do almost anything at this point and it works. Jon Favreau, kind of like a comedic director, a comedic guy. Robert Downey Jr., was out of acting.
Brilliant pairing.
Sure.
Brilliant pairing.
It almost didn't happen. A lot of people don't know this. Did you know that Disney or Marvel's holdup on casting him was the fact that he couldn't get insured? There's movie insurance, in case an actor dies.
Right. That's why they can't do their own stunts.
Right.
Or are limited in the amount of stunt work they can do.
Right. So Mel Gibson actually paid for Robert Downey Jr.'s insurance
Shut the fuck up.
so that he could get back into filmmaking. Yep. Or into acting.
I've never heard of that. I don't know if you know what Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is.
I don't think so. What is it?
So 2005, Shane Black, who wrote the Lethal Weapon movies, he, at 24 years old, had sold a script for more amount of money than anybody had ever been paid for a script, for a spec script. Something like $4 million for the Lethal Weapon script.
Okay.
So, in 2005, after all these years of partying and not making much, not doing much, he made this little movie, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay.
Little independent movie with Val Kilmer and RDJ. And it was RDJ's like first foray into acting after the whole incident, you know? So, without Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, there's no Iron Man. And
Sure.
Shane Black wrote and was brought in to write and direct the third Iron Man movie, which is the best Iron Man movie, hands down. Just an interesting little tidbit. It's like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang allowed Robert Downey Jr. to get Iron Man.
Sure. But a lot of people don't know the story behind. Well, because Mel Gibson was just is now starting to do a couple little things. He was completely blackballed because of the people assume. Well, he got heavily criticized for Passion of the Christ, that he's an anti-Semite and all this stuff because his father is, and they're like, oh well, he should have disputed what his father said, and Mel Gibson's like, it's not my job to dispute what my father says.
Right.
I'm supposed to release
Let
a
him
statement.
say what he wants to say.
Right. I'm supposed to release a statement because my father says something.
Yeah, I'm not his keeper.
Right. I'm not disrespecting my father, just like the same way you shouldn't be disrespecting me, pairing me with him. And then the whole thing happened. It's kind of a tragic story. Mel Gibson, sick of paparazzi, spotlight crap, whatever, married some librarian chick. Or I don't know if she was a librarian, but he wanted a normal wife. He didn't want a movie star, right? So she goes to a couple dinners, a couple award shows with him. All of a sudden, she gets the fame bug, right? And she starts blowing through money. She starts getting friends with other celebrities, whatever, all this stuff. And Mel Gibson, they have a kid. And then Mel Gibson's like, this is getting ridiculous. I don't want anything to do with you. Like, I wanted to get out completely out of the spotlight. I wanted to act in movies that I liked. Because there was a time where if you paid enough money, you could get Mel Gibson a movie, and you're going to get a good actor.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get Braveheart. You're going to get, what was it, Patriot, or the last, I can't remember what it is, but you're going to get an Oscar-worthy performance from that guy.
Yeah.
You're going to get it for the money. And a lot of those projects Mel Gibson wasn't in love with, which is why he started directing and doing some script writing, some things. And I think Passion of the Christ was, up until recently, it might still be, was the highest R-rated movie of all time, right? And
Highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
Yeah, I believe it was.
I know it was up there with highest grossing movies of all time, and then the Harry Potters came out.
I think it's still the highest grossing rated R movie.
Deadpool took over that.
You sure?
Yeah, pretty positive.
I gotta look it up now.
Oh wait, hold on. Before you do, I'll say this: Ted, Seth MacFarlane's Ted.
Yep.
Highest grossing R-rated original film of all time.
Technically, Passion of the Christ is still number one over Deadpool.
Over Deadpool?
By 7 million.
So why are people saying Deadpool? I wonder. Dude, American Sniper's number 3.
It made I think it made the most.
Dude.
Yeah.
It is number 4.
Yep.
It was good, but highest grossing horror film, highest grossing R-rated horror film of all time, it was not. That's fucking mind-boggling to me.
Do you know what's crazy? A lot of these are these lifetime grosses adjusted for inflation?
Yes.
Okay, that's good because
usually
that would be
they
fucking
are
crazy if it wasn't.
But for a site like this, I would assume yes, that's the case.
Okay, because Passion of the Christ is at 370, Deadpool's at 363. I want to say that it was it might have made the most money in the U.S. or this might be only in this might not be the world. I don't know. There was some stipulation where Deadpool beat it in some ways.
It's domestic.
So
this is not international.
Right.
This is U.S. only.
Okay. So anyways.
So it could be that Deadpool worldwide.
Sure. We're splitting hairs here. The point is Passion of the Christ was a high-grossing movie, and I watched it, and I thought it was a good movie.
I put it off for a long time, but it was cool. It was all right. It was interesting.
And the thing is, so he got. They didn't like his portrayal of Jews and stuff like that. It's like, listen, there was fucking 10 people that made decisions on how to portray those guys, but Mel Gibson gets the brunt of it. Well, anyways, back to the wife. The wife that he was splitting from started like just pilfering their bank account, going fucking bananas, getting facial surgeries and fucking like became the most fake person ever. And Mel Gibson was like, "Fuck this! I'm divorcing this bitch." Right?
Okay.
Now, the daughter wanted to live with the mother. The little girl was little. I'm living with mommy because, well, Mel Gibson runs around and fucking is developing scripts and acting and whatever. He's not home. She knows her mom. Like, you know, mommy's more important than daddy, right? That makes sense. That's logical for a little kid. So then apparently Mel Gibson gave her a sum of money and said, "Here, take this. Here's a house. Here's some other things." Anyways, and apparently she herself was racist against African Americans. I'll put it.
Really?
The word we'll use the word only as a transcription, but she always said, she always used nigger. All the, like, he found out later on she was like totally racist. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Danny Glover is still to this day one of Mel Gibson's best friends.
Sure. Makes sense.
And whatchamacallit? Sorry, someone was texting. So, and Danny Glover thought it was ridiculous that people said Mel Gibson was racist, but his ex-wife is totally fucking batshit crazy racist. So, in a drunken rant, he was like, "Do you see how fucking ridiculous you look now? You fucking dumb bitch, blah, 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 blah." She spent a shit ton of her money on huge fake tits. And Mel Gibson was like, "That's the last straw. You're a fucking dumb cunt. I hate you."
Okay.
And says, "I hope you get raped by a pack of niggers." Right? She took that out of context.
Jesus Christ.
Because that's something that she had been saying
that
to
she
him.
Would say, right.
He was trying to throw it back at her, like.
Right.
And then because of that one sentence he uttered.
No, but it wasn't just because of that. Like.
Well, but it was factors that, like.
He was out in public. He was out by himself.
Yep.
In public, drunk.
Totally. It's another problem.
Like saying a bunch of anti-Semitic shit.
Totally.
Like it wasn't just that one thing.
But that was the thing that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and she tried to blackmail him for that.
Yeah,
And he was like, "Fuck you, release it. I don't give a fuck."
That's dirty.
And that killed his career.
That's dirty. But it didn't kill his career.
I mean,
he's directing again, and people love Hacksaw Ridge. It won a ton of awards.
That's because barely anyone knew he directed it.
Maybe.
That's exactly why.
Maybe.
Dude, Mel Gibson hasn't done shit, man. I mean,
point being, it didn't kill his career, and now he's in this fucking daddy's.
Yeah, I saw that movie. It was pretty good. Yeah, I think. Yeah, but between.
Oh yeah, dude, Edge of Darkness, like that shot in Northampton. Actually, I was almost an extra in that movie.
Nice.
The Beaver got tons of critical acclaim because Jodie Foster directed it, and.
Right, but he literally had a fucking. Like a
he had
7-year lull.
Well, I wouldn't say lull.
2004 to 2010, he didn't do anything. Like, literally nothing.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, like, for that time, his career was like...
Yeah, that sucks. But I didn't know that about Iron Man. That's crazy.
Right, but so I'm saying, one thing to consider. Mel Gibson was upset that the Catholic Church and Jews were blaming him for the portrayal in the movie and some other things and whatever. It's entirely possible that his reaction was from their reaction, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, could be. What I'm curious about is, I've heard briefly people discuss how racistly portrayed Jews were in Passion.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like 6 or 7 years since I've seen it, but wasn't the whole point that it was supposed to be historically accurate?
Yes.
Like, wasn't everybody going for historical accuracy?
And I think that was the big thing where they got pissed, was because it's based on tons of different scriptures, books, whatever, what they consider accurate, because a lot of people, one of the big reasons I think the Christian religion is bullshit is because the fucking holy book has been edited 50 times by man.
Right.
By man.
And translated. Like, think of all the different languages.
Oh, right. Like, there are some people that contest to this day that a lot of the stuff is metaphorical and some of this stuff and whatever.
Obviously.
And, like, other people are like, no, it's literal. Like,
oh, dude. Speaking of, I'm glad you brought this up because I've wanted to talk about this. Dude, have you heard about the flood? How there are scientists saying that a Noah-esque proportion of a flood actually occurred on Earth.
Yes, absolutely.
And all the evidence to support it is pretty fucking interesting, to say the least. True or false? Interesting. Super fucking interesting.
Did you see the debate between Bill Nye and that creationist dude?
Maybe.
Essentially, what happened is the creationist guy was using Noah's Ark and that flood to prove that the Bible is real. These are scientists, okay?
Yeah.
They're trying to say that the Bible is real and there's scientific proof and whatever and all this stuff.
No, one doesn't.
Okay.
One doesn't.
Totally understand, but they
make
present
the other
they
real.
present their argument in a really deceptive way. And what I mean by that is, they say like, oh, you found this and you found this and you found fossils and blah 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 and yada yada and blah blah. And Bill Nye contests. He says, well, why are these fossils layered? If all the animals were on the ark together, what? Like, and it's like, and if that's the case, how come I don't find an elephant here? Why do I only find this animal here? He goes, because they were native to those countries.
Right.
Like, there was no Noah's Ark, yada yada. But
yeah.
But the guy presents the argument in such a fucking bullshit way that, like, if you only listen to exactly what he says and you don't use deductive logic reasoning to, like, filter it, you're gonna be like, oh, that makes sense actually. Maybe it is true and whatever. But then basically you do just a little tiny bit of digging and you're like, fuck this fucking scrub fucking God, why?
Right. But one doesn't make the other true.
Sure, you're absolutely right.
It is possible that this flood occurred.
Right, but it doesn't mean that Noah's Ark is real.
Precisely.
Right, and I understand that. But
I think that is a microcosm of what the Bible is. Like, think about it. Why wouldn't that be the case? We take from real life to write our books and make our movies. You know, we use realistic experiences to tell our stories. Why wouldn't they have done the same?
I have a theory that at this point, nothing that's seems creative is new. I'm to that point now where I think we've gotten.
Oh, it's been that way for a long time.
Right, I think we've.
No idea is original.
Right, and I think like a perfect example is. Have you ever seen something completely crazy in a comedy? They're like, oh my fucking God, no way. And then you're like, oh, Jesus, how did someone think of that? Because it probably happened, and it's been slightly exaggerated.
Right.
Or greatly exaggerated. Yes. And how do I know this? I did some fucked up shit when I was in my 20s, and I've seen some fucked up shit. And...
well, that's where all the best stuff comes from.
Right.
That's where all the funniest stuff comes from.
Right, totally.
Like, you know... How I Met Your Mother, the pineapple episode.
Right.
You know, Ted wakes up with all this crazy shit having happened the night before.
Exactly.
Like all happened to the writers, like Carter Bays, Craig Thomas. Like the lighting of the jacket on fire, like actually happened. You know.
Don't worry about it.
Anyhow. So yeah, I find it wildly fascinating.
So the reason did you ever try to go down the Ancient Aliens rabbit hole?
I have watched a lot of Ancient Aliens. I have had to dig myself out of that hole numerous times.
I think some of the stuff in there is interesting, and it's
super interesting.
A lot of it's real, which is cool, but a lot of it's embellished and just lying for the sake of advancing the narrative of the show, which once the show gets to that point, I'm like, man,
no, that's what it is.
You had me with the truth.
Now on season 11, that's what it's become.
Jesus Christ, season 11?
Yeah, isn't that fucking insane? Dude, I said the
same thing. How tall is the guy's hair?
Dude, I said the same. It's gotta hit the ceiling. Like, it needs its own camera at this point. You know, my brother met that guy at fucking Comic-Con. My brother and his friends, dude, met him.
You know that guy used
Took
to be
a picture with him.
That guy used to be like a bodybuilder, MMA fighter or something.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, he wasn't even. He has nothing to. He's not even an academic.
Super weird.
Alien or Ancient Aliens host. I'm trying to. Yeah, what's the guy's name? 10 facts about the Ancient Aliens guy. Dude, that fucking hair, man.
So good. So good.
He started out as a sports promoter. Yeah, look.
Oh my god. That's real?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves. All right. Anyways, but yeah,
Okay.
that guy was into sports.
That's nuts.
And that's what happened.
Never in a million years would I have believed you if you didn't just show me that.
I'm just, dude.
Okay, so I want to get into this morality thing.
Oh, right. So
and then first let's touch the video store for a minute, and then
sure,
on morality.
So
and that's it.
So we had talked about tribalism, and kind of goes both hand in hand with these. And I think where the video store lost its way is that a lot of video store culture used to be introverted people that wanted to feel close and connected. You'd go to the video store clerk. Have you seen this? Yes, I've seen this. Oh my god, it's awesome. You're gonna love it. You know.
Yeah.
You should get the extra butter popcorn. It just came out and da da da.
That was one of the big appeals of going to a video store. Sure.
Right, and what else was great is there were movies. It's kind of like I do it now. You know what I do when I look for a video? I'd be like type in like cult movies that blah 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 in the 80s. Enter, and then I download the movie.
Yeah.
Or I stream it or whatever, or I look on Netflix.
It does not have nearly the same appeal.
Correct.
Not nearly the same appeal. I find it really sad that there is an entire generation of kids who are going to grow up not knowing what it's like to go to a video store. That's super disappointing. And on top of that, the person...
It's like a bookstore is the same thing.
Right. Everybody's on their Nook, on Amazon.
I use Audible for audiobooks.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Personally go to Barnes & Noble like once a week. I'm in Barnes & Noble because I pick up the trade magazines.
I got chess books right there. I used to be huge into chess.
Right, but Barnes & Noble is like, it's kind of the new video store for me.
More or less, Barnes & Noble is slowly becoming basically fucking Starbucks, where it happens to have literature there. I think a lot of Barnes & Noble's profit has been their little...
Right. Did you know it's not actually Starbucks?
What do you mean?
Like, it's Barnes & Noble owned. It's like not Starbucks owned.
No, I understand.
It's really weird. Like,
I'm saying they're basically that's basically becoming a big part of their profit, and that
right.
They're basically like Starbucks, for instance, is a hangout, right? And you notice how the Barnes & Noble little lobby in Holyoke is shaped almost exactly like a Starbucks, where people go to, they sit with their laptops, use the Wi-Fi, do whatever. Like, it's essentially a Starbucks, but it's not a Starbucks.
Yeah. Like, if you get a coupon from Starbucks in Barnes & Noble, you can't use it at another Starbucks.
Right. Well,
I find it really strange.
It's a franchise base. That's all it is. It's a franchise
Very
level.
strange.
They want to isolate the profit, but Sorry, go ahead. We were saying
What
the thrill of meeting like-minded people in a like-minded place and discovering
and
them.
browsing
Right.
and browsing, like
Sure.
all of that, all part of the experience. I think.
Have you ever been there? Been at a video store and you're like, I've seen this, it's great. When someone's looking at something and they're like, yeah, okay, thanks. Like,
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
In Best Buy, I do that
right.
because I miss doing it. You know, I miss doing it in video stores, so I do it in Best Buy.
Right. The only way you can do it now is through Netflix. You leave a 4 or 5 star comment and you're like, loved it,
and that's-
hated it, whatever. It's not the same.
It's so unfortunate. Like, there's a lot to be said about technology taking over, and us socially devolving because of it. And it's unfortunate. I think the person who takes the time and money to open a video store within the next couple years is going to make a lot of money. I think we're fast approaching the point when hipsters, not only hipsters, but your average person will find it either A, chic, B, nostalgic, or C, both to go to a video store.
Sure, kind of like a record store now.
Yeah, exactly.
But
If you go to Turn It Up in Northampton, there are always people there. It's always packed.
Isn't there a bookstore on the corner near Spoleto?
Raven used books, right?
Right. It's kind of
There are always people there.
right. Well, it's because it's the only place to fucking go.
They don't have a Starbucks.
Right. It's the only place to fucking go. So
I want to be that person. I want to be that person who opens a video store because I know people are gonna love it. It's gonna be a retro cool thing.
I think what really killed video, and not just saying, I think the fact that VHS died is what really killed video, because the problem is you can't. VHS was a proprietary system separate from your computer. Once a DVD could be watched on a computer, it was like, all right, how do we streamline this process? All right, how do we make it a little better? How do we make it a little better? How do we make it a little better? Okay, fuck it.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
I thought about it.
once something, like, for instance, I, like, as you see, I have a fish tank in here, I have a fish tank there, I have fucking 3 fish tanks in this house, 3 in the other house. I can't go online to digitize my fish food for my fish. I have to go to the fish store.
Yeah.
Or I talk to people, hey, have you raised this fish? Have you done this? How hard is it to breed these 2 fish? Whatever. There's that tribal, like, something like that it can't die in, because we're so far away from, like, matter transfer portals. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, like, you can't have that level, you can't remove that level of tribalism for something like that. And I think that's why a lot of hobbies, like woodworking, fish, pets in general,
They can't thrive through the interweb.
right. I mean, you can do some things, but, like, there's nothing like talking to the pet store clerk. Just like there was something talking about the movie store clerk or whatever. And I think a lot of people are doing one, like I said, they're either going on Netflix, and because, do you know the relation between recommending something, hearing a recommendation, and hormone regulation of brain? Do you know, like, the associations with that?
No.
Okay. The same hormone that gets released when you ejaculate, oxytocin,
Yeah.
happens every fist bump, every hug,
Every kiss.
every kiss. Correct.
The kissing hormone,
Right.
as
So,
they call it.
no, that's not what I call it, but but like, yeah. So, like, that's why women get far more attached than men usually, because it gets released in their brain far more often. But if there's that guy you love talking to, you love watching sports with, you love doing whatever, you love making movies with, whatever your hobby is, that hormone is released, and that's what keeps you attracted to that person. Have you ever had a scumbag friend that no matter what, you just can't get rid of? Because you're like, man, I just love hanging out with this guy. I can't fucking figure it out. That hormone is triggered more prevalently with that person for whatever reason.
Dude, I am going to run an experiment on this. Right? So check this out. I'm going to approach a table. I'm going to shake their hand. And I'm going to make my recommendation. And I'm going to do this multiple times throughout a shift. The next day, or even same day, different table, I will make the same recommendation without shaking hands.
It'll probably...
Do you think...
Yes, I think it'll absolutely have an effect. 100%, because physical contact is...
super, super interesting.
And it also depends on the age. Because one of the biggest reasons when I was in
Younger people are more susceptible.
Right, because okay, so the other thing that happens besides missing out on the oxytocin part of it, like you would get at the video store, brushing hands, physically handing the DVD to somebody, doing whatever, that physical media. They used to teach when I was younger. They used to teach remembering things, like mnemonic device was. They would take something and they'd throw it at you and you would catch it. Same thing. It's a physical thing that you can grab and touch and feel. And that helps trigger that part of your brain. The good part of your brain is active. So you want to feel that good feeling again. That mnemonic device is triggered. It also helps combat depression. So there's a reason why you can be attracted to people you don't even realize. Like, for instance, there are people out there that gain your trust easily, like I was telling you before. Like, anything you do, you can gain so much trust. You shake hands, you make eye contact, you talk to them personally, maybe you give a light touch on the shoulder. It's the same thing when you're picking up a girl, and that's what I was saying. When I was out there slaying it, when I was a beast in my 20s, it was the same thing. I'd touch a girl's hand, I'd touch her shoulder, small of her back, whatever.
Right.
I'd look her in the eye, make sure, and if a girl was uncomfortable with eye contact with you, especially after you made touch, you knew that even if that girl, for whatever reason, wasn't feeling you at that time, you could turn it around because you could physically affect her because she was uneasy.
Right.
Some chick that you made eye contact with, that she's looking through you like glass, it's over. You didn't make a connection.
Yeah.
A connection can be bad or good, and I have this insane theory about love and hate. If you really love someone, right, and then you're mad at them to the point where you can't talk to them anymore for whatever reason, the amount you love the person is going to the amount you hate the person in the mirror. If you have a friend you're really close with and they fuck you over, you hate them as much as you love them because you're that pissed off that person did that to you. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So the same goes for if you're getting an interaction at a bar. If a girl's looking at you rolling her eyes or doing whatever, but she's still smiling and having a good time, you can easily flip that around.
Right. Because
you just got to get them to get to that point of, to say the right thing that, oh, he paints. Okay, well, this guy's not that much of a douchebag. I guess I can sleep with him. So the same's going to go with your recommendations. So, yeah, it'll work. It's the same thing, but...
I'm going to try it, and I'll let you know. Because that's a super interesting experiment to run.
So dopamine, right? If you get a text, you get a dopamine trigger. It's like, ooh, someone said something to me.
Yeah.
Same thing on Facebook, same thing whatever.
Right.
Or you post in a thread and you post something that's controversial, or you're being a justice warrior. Oh, fuck this guy. He did this and I think this. And then you get 2 likes. It's yeah, that's right, bitch. You like my post. I'm a beast. It's you get that same dopamine trigger. You get it in vastly greater amounts when someone acknowledges you, you make eye contact with them and whatever, and you're at the store making that recommendation. You're like, you know what, I'm going to take this. It's like, you know what? It might be in a stupid, crazy way. I like to think that all of my friends, even the ones that I had to push away that I don't talk to that often, all of them will tell you that, I've tried to make a difference in their life for the better. If you ask them, did Ron try to make a difference in your life for the better? Or is Ron a fucking douche? Like you felt like he was. No. Ron tried to help me and I wasn't ready to be helped, and fucking, he's not a douche. I'm a douche.
Yeah.
Almost all of them will tell you that. So, it's that same feeling to a lesser degree. You've affected their life in a positive way. You don't know what that movie could mean to them. To some people... I love Rick and Morty. I watch it. I watch anything Rick and Morty I can get my hands on, the fan-made videos and whatever. You don't know what that thing is. It's going to trigger someone's fandom and change their life. Maybe rip them out of a depression.
Right.
And that feeling that you give them at the video store. Hey, that guy was cool. I like that guy. Whatever. Every time that they watch something to do with that level of fandom, you created that situation.
Right. And that's That's why I love doing what I do. That's why I love making movies. I want to be able to affect people in that way. I want to make somebody feel something that A, they've never felt before, or B, were unable to feel and wanted to, or C, didn't know they could feel,
Right.
or ever would.
Right.
And that's the joy of storytelling.
And making eye contact with a guy and saying, hey, you'll love this movie, or hey, you're going to love this book, or hey, whatever, or you're going to love this restaurant. I've had that happen where people are like, yeah, you know what, this restaurant's good, you could try this here too. It's like that feeling. Like, it's just not the same as reading, Big Dick 72's review on a movie.
No.
3 stars, it sucked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's super unfortunate. I'm not a huge fan of Netflix and streaming, and like, I do it because it's easy and it is cool. Like, it is very cool in its own right. It's awesome what Netflix has done. Like, they have almost even created a new platform for watching content.
Sure.
Almost in the same way YouTube did. What I don't like about Netflix is how they're changing the output or the distribution. A lot of filmmakers hate the same day on demand. So Netflix will produce a movie and it'll be available on their service same day as in theaters. Like, there's going to be, in the next couple of years, we're going to see that. We're going to see...
It already exists. There's services out there already that you can pay. You pay for some entertainment system, and a lot of people in California have it. I think Joe Rogan has it.
And you can watch watch The Last Jedi right now.
Yes. In your house.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. There are so many filmmakers, so many directors against that.
I agree.
Huge argument to be made against it.
Well, because if I have that service, let's say I pay $50 a month for it, right? And then on top of that, I pay $5 for a site license for a movie. I could have 50 people in my fucking house watching it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fair. That only counts as one buy. 50 people saw the movie. Right. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bullshit. So not only are people losing money on it, you're just, I don't know, like...
It'll kill the movie theater business, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like everything else.
And the day I can't imagine that the movie theater will die in my lifetime, because
you say that
there is no way to watch a movie but on the big screen.
You say that.
That's the only way to do it. That's why I'm at the movies so often.
I'm with you. You and me are the same in that regard. But just like everything else, eventually the sheeple, I use that term all the time. The sheeple will go all the way.
Yep.
And you and I, the non-sheeple, will go kicking and screaming into the light. No, my screen!
Right.
And you and I are gonna drive fucking 3 hours away somewhere to go to some fucking theater to watch it like it was meant to be watched.
That's gonna be a fucking sad day.
Right. Sure. And yeah, that sucks. And just like everything else is going to eventually die. But like you said with Netflix, I'm
gonna make that a personal goal of mine. When I get to California, I'm gonna make it a personal goal of mine to affect the way that business is shaping out to be. I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that movie theaters stay afloat.
That is a tall fucking order, but I hope you can fill it.
You set your fucking ambitions high.
And if you fall a little short, oh well.
But you exceed them, and you've done better than great.
Sure.
So, what is your question about the morality?
Okay.
What is the debate to be had? What is the question?
Okay, so in a lot of religious views, circling back there, well, again, anyone that wants to can read more about the, you can get a quick snippet on what we're talking about, because we're going to jump into it. Basically, there's a blog article. It outlines how, in a lot of religions, God is a divine source of everything. He makes everything, he makes a plan, like whatever. Some people call it the universe, some people call it a karmic interaction. Doesn't matter whatever you want to call it. You're on a path, okay? And the idea is if I'm on a set path, why the fuck do I have to be moral? Or better yet, if I don't believe in organized religion, if I don't believe in a punishment, why be moral? Okay? Now,
why do good?
Yes, and the simple answer is doing good releases chemicals in your brain that make you feel good. I don't know if that's why I try to help people or do things or whatever, but whatever. For whatever reason, I consider myself a kind person that tries to always leave people better than I found them. So the debate is, so that's the debate. If God is a divine creature, right? Well, there's two parts of this. One, we'll start with this. What is your motivation to do well if there's no punishment for doing bad? Because almost any crime, with enough planning, you can get away with. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I think for the religious zealots, it's hell. So,
Sure.
Okay, so let's assume I don't believe in heaven and I don't believe in hell.
Okay.
Why do I try to do good things?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes.
Well, first, obviously, because it feels good to do good things. I think is the obvious answer, but
Okay, that's the selfish side of the coin, right?
right, and I've always this is a footnote question, I guess, or maybe it has a bigger implication than I think. I've always thought to myself, why do I try to do good things? How can I be selfless when you're doing selfless things and the only, not motivation, but the only possible outcome is for selfish reasons? Like, nobody's gonna try to save an African child and feel bad about it.
Right.
So there is no such thing as a truly selfless act, I guess is my point.
No, because and again, I'll go back to there's hormone releases in your brain that make you feel good for doing good things. Almost a high, if you will.
Yes.
There have been times where I've helped my friends out of the roughest fucking situations, and I feel great. Number one, I feel like I was smart enough.
Yeah, you feel good about it. You don't feel bad about it.
Right. So yeah, so there's a level. There is definitely a level where you're right, where it's a selfish situation.
I don't believe in free will.
Okay.
Yet I still try to do the best I can. I try to do good things for people. I try to be the best person I can.
Okay. So, and it comes down to this then. I guess the next argument. We both agree that we like to do things for our friends and people that we care about because, one, it feels good, right? Because
Yeah.
and two, on some level, you're hoping for a reciprocation. And if you do enough good and they do enough good for you, and then it becomes a cycle, eventually you can have a symbiotic relationship of happiness and fun and excitement and whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
But I also don't believe in karma.
True. I don't truly believe in karma, but every once in a while, when it feels like it should be karma and it happens, it's like, yeah, karma, bitch.
I'm going to quote the Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama says,
Okay.
Karma doesn't exist in the way people think, oh, if I do something good will happen to me. Karma exists as a fundamental element of life. Good and bad things happen to everyone, whether or not you do good or bad things.
Correct.
Again, so why do we do these good things?
So I guess for a lot of people, they don't stay in the straight and narrow without the religion. And then you ask yourself, is that the sign of a weak person? Is it the sign of a really strong person to blindly follow the lead of some divine power? Or are they scared shitless of yeah, it's gonna suck here for 70, 80 years, but I definitely don't want to be in fucking hell forever.
It's fear and weakness, I think, drives most of those people.
And you know what? Religion is good because it keeps a sense of community.
Yeah, it has its ups, definitely.
And it's good for a lot of times. Going to church once a week is like, God, I really want to fuck my secretary and pour vodka all over her and drink coke out of her belly button, and I want to snort coke off her ass. Yeah, and like going to church once a week makes that guy go, no, I can't do that. God is watching me. And if he misses a week, he might become that deviant fucking prick. There are people out there that are literally like fucking like black and white personality wise, and without
I'll never understand those people.
So because they have to feel accountable. So the question then becomes this, and separately, because we already tried to kind of answer the why, if there's no punishment, still do good things, because you're hoping that one, it comes back to you, and because you feel good helping people you care about. So the ultimate question is, why can people believe that there is no free will if God makes you follow his plan? Like, let's say you're a rapist, a murderer, some evil creature.
Yes, God made you that way.
Right. God made you that way. God set you on the path. God is controlling your actions. You killed a bunch of people because God said so, and now you burn in hell. If God loves you, why could he make you so evil and then make you burn in hell?
Well, that would be a question for a very religious person. And I think the answer that person would give you would be, well, God didn't make you that way. You were born perfect, and Eve is responsible for original sin. So because Eve bit that fucking apple, we are now sinful creatures capable of such things as rape and murder. If not for that, we would be God's perfect creatures. I think that's the answer you would get from a religious person.
If God makes you and you're following his plan or whatever, that means that Eve was predestined to bite that apple.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying.
I don't know.
At what point can you just say fuck you to God? No way do you have any control. No way is your divine plan real. I definitely have free will. Because if God has a divine plan and he can't be faltered, it doesn't add up. Like at some point, like
right.
You shouldn't be punished for the
Right.
bad things you've done.
That's why I don't know. That's why the religious psychist doesn't make any sense. That's why weak-minded people easily fall into cults.
And you could say, oh well, that's not what I believe, or the way I interpret is this, or the way most people interpret that I talk to. It's God's will. Oh, why did my uncle die of cancer? Oh, it's God's will. He's in a better place now. Whatever. It's like, what? Well, what do you mean it's God's will? Our uncle has no inheritance for us for his kids, and he worked 3 jobs to pay the bills. Now what are they going to do for 5 years until they're of working age? God wanted them to suffer for 5 years? Why? Oh, to put us through a test or whatever. Like, if God truly had a divine plan,
there's a lot that doesn't add up.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
do you believe in free will?
Of course. I believe I control every single thing I do, which is why the rape thing is mind-boggling to me. Why I don't mind some chick sucking a dick for $1 million movie part, which is why I don't mind if those people want to do it, they want to fucking do it. If those people are going to do it, they're going to do it. And I think what it comes back to totally is, I think I'm a good person. I think you're a good person. Even though you're always fucking late for everything, but, you know.
Has no bearing.
But I don't think you have bad intentions, and I don't think I have bad intentions when I do things. Someone like Harvey Weinstein has bad intentions. But if God made Harvey Weinstein into a fucking asshole, power-hungry rapist, is Harvey Weinstein going to go to hell when he dies? If hell exists. And I don't know, and I'm sure a lot of religious people are going to respond and tell me I'm a fucking asshole for fucking with their beliefs.
Well, now it sounds like you're saying free will doesn't exist.
It does.
You say you believe in free will, but then you say...
I'm trying to make the argument.
But then you say God created this person to be the evil person he is, and...
I'm saying if.
And henceforth...
I'm playing devil's
posing
advocate.
the question.
I'm playing God's advocate.
Ha!
Okay?
Well played.
Well
played.
So, I'm trying to understand the mindset. I'm trying to understand how people can overlook things like that. And I can't just take the answer, you gotta have faith, because it's fucking...
It's a bad answer.
Because that's a Michael Bolton song, and it's not a method
bad answer.
to live by. So I guess the question then becomes: can you go against the eye test, what you see, who you are, based on what someone else says, or a book that's thousands of years old that doesn't explain how things have gone? Can you look at those ideals and things and follow them intently and explicitly because you think something bad is going to happen to you? I don't understand the mentality. Maybe some people will respond and we can get an idea, but I don't get it. And I guess that's where I was going with this is why do we do good things for good people? We answer that because we like helping the people we like, because we know it makes us feel good. So it's partly selfish. And those people do good things for us. And it becomes a reciprocating effect. And it's good. It's healthy. And we can create our own tribal communities that way. With like-minded people, or people that aren't even like-minded, but decent individuals that want to help each other. And build something together. And then I guess the next point is like, are these people only being good because they're scared some benevolent being with a huge stick is going to whack them upside the head for the rest of their existence?
I think more so than not. I think a higher percentage yes than no. I think we don't have a choice in it. I think we are who we are not because of the decisions that we've made, but because of the things we've experienced.
Right, and I think it goes back to the whole thing, like, if you and me were twins, and I grew up in one household and you grew up in another, your life will go one way, my life will go the other way. And if we were switched, our paths would be almost identical. Like, but again, you don't know what thing in your life, like tripping over a hose and stubbing your toe, could be the reason that you don't make the wrestling team.
Right. So how can you believe in free will and say that?
Oh no, I mean, I believe I have my own. I can make my own choices.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
there's a degree where I still control it. Do things happen to me? Can I get lucky? Yes. But
even before that, every
there's a basis for who I am. You're right.
Right, and that has not only is there a basis for who you are. Like, you didn't have a choice in whether or not you were born in the U.S. What class of family, race of family you were
Correct.
born to.
Right.
You had no say in those things, and those determined your life maybe more so than anything. You also have very close to no bearing on the chemical reactions happening in your brain, especially at a young age.
Sure.
So, to say that I've made this decision on my own is to say that everything I've experienced up until this point that has had such a huge impact on me is effectively of no import.
I think at the age of 25, when your prefrontal cortex is fully developed,
Yeah.
you can choose to change. Before that, you might have gotten yourself into a situation so bad that there's no digging yourself out. That's true. I know there's kids that get hoodwinked into gangs at an early age in Chicago, and they get killed before they reach 20.
Right.
Those kids aren't changing that. I understand that. But I think if I think I've gotten to a point where I've survived, where I look at everyone around me that has made choices, has gone in a million different directions. Everyone looked at me like, yeah, do that, buddy. That's not going to work. You're fucking retarded. And now they're all like, God, I wish I was doing what you're doing. Where did I go wrong? And I'm talking guys that went to school, have great jobs, do whatever, might not have the freedom financially due to their obligations or the time constraints or whatever it is.
Right.
That look at what I'm doing and go, oh.
Things have happened to them that are preventing them from being in such a position.
And I think the difference between what you're talking about almost is like an autopilot. And if two planes are on autopilot and they don't have collision detection, they'll eventually smash into each other. I totally get that. But there's still a pilot at the controls. And I think to some level, and like I said, it's usually post 25, that pilot can choose to always be on autopilot and not look around his surroundings and say, hey, like, I'm gonna fucking hit this plane here, huh? Or he can just be sitting there asleep at the wheel or at the controls and be like, oh fuck.
My friend and I talked about this a lot. How we think that most people are on autopilot.
Totally.
I think, like, we mentioned it briefly last time we talked, how people aren't capable of stepping outside of their own perspective.
Absolutely.
But that's a really good analogy for free will. Free will. I think maybe
it has its limitations.
Right. Maybe our path from birth to death is a plane on autopilot in which a destination is set, and we every now and then may be able to pull up the controls and steer it through a specific path to reach said destination.
Right. And I think it goes hand in hand with the detail of, like, our main tagline for all of our blog posts. As always, let us not just ask questions, but search for answers. It's the attention to detail that you're going into it. You can ask a question, right? But a lot of times when you ask a question, you're looking for confirmation bias. You're looking for, I want to see if he thinks what I think. And if he thinks what I think, then I'm smart. But you're not really looking for the answer. You're just asking the question. You're searching for an answer. You would ask 20 people. You'd take their collective pool of answers and you'd be like, you know what?
And average it out.
I still don't know if that's right. And then you can look into greater detail in other avenues or whatever. Maybe your sample size was too small. Maybe the research you did was too small. So I think when it comes to something like free will, like I said, if you're post 25, at some point you have to look at yourself and say, fuck, I'm in control of the fucking plane and I don't want to crash. Oh shit, we're running out of fuel. Oh shit, we're flying too low. Oh shit, we're flying too high. Whatever the case is, at some point, you can take ownership. At some point, you can take ownership. It doesn't, for some people, it never happens. Some people live and die the American dream, 2.5 kids, the white picket fence, the fucking whatever.
And never think twice.
Right.
Literally never think twice. I will not ever be that person. It's not who I am. I've always thought there's no such thing as free will because of all of these circumstances outside of our control. Not until recently. It's funny because I've done a lot of research on the human brain, a lot of research on it. Not until recently have I discovered that your brain reaches full growth at 25. Like, I just learned this within the past couple of years.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's 18. Your
No,
body
25, yes. Super interesting.
Your body peaks at a different time than your brain, and it's the same thing for women. Women's bodies peak at like 15 or something like that.
12 sometimes.
Right. And I mean, I'm not saying like the size of their breasts or how attractive they are.
Hormonally.
Hormonally, a woman is at her best mentally in her mid-teens, and that's crazy.
Physically too.
Right. Right. And that's why they're so much smarter than men emotionally, and that's why they get so frustrated and so much more emo. Guys are just kind of like, they're a swinging dick when they're younger. That's it. They're just, where am I going to put this thing?
Right. And
women get emotionally attached and they want to develop a life with someone or whatever. Like, that's a level of maturity that doesn't exist for a man until he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
And a lot of times women go along with that. They feel slighted and jaded and fucking pissed off the world. And that's why a lot of them party until they're fucking 30. And then they're ready to meet a guy because that's when they're ready.
Because that's when they're ready.
So, and again, it's another free will versus circumstance versus whatever thing. So I think you're right. I think our parents, our financial situation, a bunch of other things are definitely preordained. But I do believe that at some point you can make a decision and say, fuck this, I'm doing this. Beyond limitations like, are you a 7-foot tall person? No. All right, well, you're probably not going to play center in the NBA.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like, you can do almost anything. Anything that has a mental limitation, a writer, a comedian, an actor, you can make things with your hands. Like,
it's funny. Not believing in free will my whole life, I am a walking contradiction of a person. I'm a living, breathing contradiction of a person. And I've said this for many years, but...
I'm quoting you on that.
Do, please. Not believing in free will most of my life, I also believe that you can be anything you want to be. Like, there is no limitation on what you can do with yourself. Like, if you want to do something, you can do it. And I don't think enough people believe in that.
I think it's and this goes back to, well, you said you're considering moving, relocating, and you said a lot of people were like, well, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? That's the autopilot person.
Correct.
What did I say to you? Do you remember? I was like, good for you, man. It's gonna work out for you out there. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a different mindset.
Right.
The people who believe they can and can't are both right. So I guess what it comes down to is, like, are you hungry enough to get what you want? Which goes back to the full circle.
Right.
Harvey Weinstein blowjob.
Right.
Are you willing to do it?
Literally hungry enough?
Oh,
that's disgusting.
That's, you know what? I think that's a good spot to end this. That Harvey Weinstein has a disgusting cock, and
a disgusting pig of a man.
I agree. Yeah, I'll see you. You know what? I'm gonna get some feedback on the blog post and through this, and we'll see, and maybe we'll answer some questions people had about this and continue this discussion.
I'm very curious. Is anybody gonna hear it? Is anyone gonna see it?
Sure. And let me know how the experiment works out with the handshake thing.
I will.
And
I'm gonna.
We'll post it on here.
Done and done.
All right. It was a good first one.
It was a good first one.
Hopefully we'll have many more to come. See you guys.